What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the usual suspects. What is happening? Oh yeah, another fun day, no doubt. Oh, let's see here. Get this straightened out. All right. Looks like everybody's jumped in there. Sweet. How is everyone doing? Oh, there's my mug right there. What is going on, folks? I'm not sure what's going on with this other computer. I think it just basically flipped me off. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Just came in from outside. I'm like, okay, gotta get this done. Hey, I'm not sure what the deal is here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Move this around here. This computer just went retarded on me. Not the main one, of course. That one's fine. Might just have to restart it. What do you guys think? Let it do its thing. Oh, yeah. So what's going on, everyone? Let's see. Man, I gotta scroll all the way up to see everybody in here. I actually have to use this because the other computer's not on right now. Got some cool little topics to talk about today. I thought it was pretty interesting, some of these things. And I'm sure some of you have seen this, like if it's got to do with SOHO, that's, you know, obviously the satellite around the sun, different things, just really, really cool. And some things we'll speculate on, of course. And some things may not be that far out of reach, or that speculative, right? But, yeah. Let's see. Robert Morgan's in there. Lionheart Glassworks is in there. Renee Cruz. What's going on, everyone? Mimi Reacts is in there. Limey Watches in there. This thing is like way up, so I'm like trying to see this thing at the same time. It's like way over my head, not even right here with my normal monitors. It's almost an arm's length away, but that one is up there up on the shelf. Lack of room, you can't do much with it, right? Let's see. Pete Ferrero's in there. What's going on, Pete? MG Toe's in there. What's going on? Hey, hey, hey. Oh, this computer's so slow. This one here. I definitely got to just swap it out. Maybe get another gaming computer or something. It's a good computer. It's reliable. No issues. These are the HP workstations. They're basically indestructible, right? I mean, you can run these things. They're made to run like all the time. I mean, that's it. You can leave them on 24/7. They're built to do that. Probably should have kept the other one I had, where I had like I had 80 gigs of RAM in that thing too, and it was like well, like they called it. It was like they said it was like 12 core CPU, but it's basically 6 virtual, 6 like, you know, actually we'll call it real. But yeah, it was a good computer. This one is not too bad either, but I think I'm going to change it out. It's like I restarted, and it's like I can go out and change the fluid in my car and come back, change the oil and come back, and it'll still be booting up. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Let's see here. Bring that down here. MG Toe says, great big thumbs up. I appreciate it, the MG Toe. I really do. You guys are awesome. Made it. He said, Robert Morgan, he said, I made it, Chris, but I'm out of breath. Would you do, run around the block? I mean, you know, what's going on over there? Yeah, let's not hurt yourself in the process. We'd like to see you get here in one piece. Planetary Protector says, hello, humans. What's going on? Planetary Protector. Cameron, what's happening? How's my Friday? My Friday's doing well, man. It's really doing well. I hope yours is doing good. Like I said, we didn't even get to put out a second video yesterday. We were at, you guys have heard of like trunk or treat, right? Where you basically go to wherever, either a school or whatever, which I did with my sons yesterday, and passed out like a boatload of candy. So, of course, it was weird because we were like in this little, like, I'm going to call it a lull in the rain, but it was just miserable. But don't get me wrong. I mean, we were underneath the hatch and everything else, so we weren't getting wet or anything. I did just passing out the candy. Here, take as much as you guys want. You know, we bought enough. We definitely have some for, you know, for Halloween itself. So, and I don't know about you folks, but man, this state is like, it's off its rocker. They literally don't want to have it on a Sunday. Can't have it on a Sunday. I'm like, what are you talking about? So you got to have it on Saturday. I've never heard of that. Has anybody else have the state doing that? It's like, I don't know if it's because of church on Sunday and they just think it's some kind of taboo thing to do. I don't get it. And I know some of you folks are from here as well, from WV. So I'm just wondering if you guys just think it's insane, and for everybody else, it's everywhere else. You know, whether it be around the world or, you know, in the States themselves. I mean, what do you guys think of that? I just think that's really weird. I don't know. I just said, I've never heard of such a thing since I've come down here. I said, why would they do that? It's like having Christmas, like, you know, a week early. What is the point? You know? Let's see. I am actually still waiting for this thing to be 100%. It's funny because I'll do like, right now I'm getting on YouTube, but it's funny, you can actually see the hard drive light. It's like, just constantly, like, it's like a steady green. You're like, okay. Let's see. Of course, it does. I have these things doing all kinds of checks and everything else to make sure before it even boots up, it'll defrag everything and everything. So it's, you know, let me make sure here. Okay. Slowly getting there. Ever so slowly. Okay, so Kyle Harvey, thank you very much, sir, for your support. I do appreciate you. Big ups to you. Sub gang, he's saying. What's going on, brother? Let's see. Let me make this here. Oh, that ain't too bad right there. We'll leave it at that. And while this thing goes crazy trying to do whatever it's got to do in the background, we'll let it do it. What do you think? Let's see. Yeah, Cameron, it's like you said, I'm in Texas and I haven't heard any of that yet. Well, I don't think it's going to be like heavy, you know, this, I don't even know how many years it's been doing it. I mean, I've been down here since 2004 and it's been like that. So I don't know if this has been like always like that or when they incorporated that, but to me it's silly. I just can't see the logic in it, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just find it silly to do something like that. Let's see. This audio seems to be working okay, right? How many years has been doing it? I mean, I've been I don't have anything in the background. It's supposed to actually suppress the background, and obviously just myself, just my voice. Go back here a little bit. See, and I jumped all the way down. Meet me, Chris in space. Alan Keene, what's going on? What's happening? He said, hello, Chris. Good to hear you. Oh, good day. I'm glad to see you're here, Alan. Wild Mountain Bear says, love that galaxy pic. It is pretty cool. I said, I need to put a background on here and just mess around with it a little bit. Let's see. Mars, the Second Genesis, says, hi, Chris. I hope you are well. I've been busy with a big project, and it's mega cool, and it's X3D. I hope to have it out next week. Well, that'd be awesome. Yeah, let us know. You know, we'll check it out, definitely. Definitely. Jason McVeigh says, hit that like button, everyone. Slam. I mean, listen, if our favorite fan can come down, I'll get it out, I promise. If our favorite fan can come down and give us a thumbs down, come on, you guys can hit it. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, hello, thumbs down. I know who you are, don't worry. Let's see. Mike Allen says, come on, Chris, get with it. By the way, Scotland says hi. Hello, Scotland. What's going on? Good to see everybody in there. From over the big pond. Renee V, what's going on? Says, what's up, basically. Chat, hello. Phil C says, howdy, folks. What's going on, Phil? Good to see you there, man. Glenn Marsh says, hi, everyone from Cape Breton. Hope you are all well. Great to be here for another live chat. Good to have you in here, Glenn. Really. It's awesome to get everybody together and just have a good time here, you know. And Pete, of course, says, hello, everyone. And hi, Chris, and hello, everyone in the chat. Travis Hoochin says, yo, yo, yo. What's going on, Travis? Gulf Coast Prepper. Hey, Chris, I hope all is well. I'm actually doing pretty well, actually. I went to the pulmonary doctor yesterday, and it was, if you if you folks have ever gone to this, because they're just like, you know, you got to go for a follow-up because we want to make sure your lungs are good after the, you know, being sick, you know, from the double pneumonia and all that stuff. And, you know, it's just a weird... First of all, let me just ask the question. Has anybody have been to this where you're basically on a machine, it looks like almost like a tube, almost like a phone booth, only you just sit in this little seat and you got this little tiny plate to set your feet down on, and it almost looks like the end of the turret on the Curiosity rover. It's got this arm, and it just turns around, and you basically just put this plastic piece in your mouth. And you just do breathing exercises with it. And she says, have you ever done this? I said, no, actually I haven't. So, had that done, and, you know, I'm doing like these 3 different tests, everything from, you know, take a deep breath, weigh in, blow out, and then there's one that says, okay, this valve's going to shut off inside there, so basically you're going to be doing this. And it's like you're pushing air against the machine, but you don't know it. And you're breathing out because they want you to like do it like a pant. It's like, then all of a sudden it stops, so you can't breathe in or out, but you have to still do it with your lungs, right? So it's just weird test. And once they calibrated it, then they ran 3 more tests, you know, everything from holding your breath for it was something silly, like 8 seconds and all this other stuff. And when she was done, I said, well, you know, let me ask you a question. I said, what are the guidelines? In other words, you know, obviously 100 being excellent. What is, like, you know, the lowest you can get? She said, well, anything under 80, we automatically consider, you know, you're going to have a follow-up, we'll have to take more action, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. So, long story short, she says, I said, well, if you don't mind me asking, you know, what does it say? And she turns the monitor, and she says, well, the doctor's going to call you and tell you the results, and you're good. I said, okay. So, they like, when you said 90s, she said that was pre-calibration. Your numbers are here, 101, 102. I'm like, okay, work paid off. So, yeah. So, we're good. We are good. Lionheart Glassware says thumbs down. If they aren't into, then why show up? Oh, it's just one of my favorite fans. That's all. I get them all the time, you know. And I think it's I've said this before. I think it's actually comical. You know, I love it. John Murray, he said, "Hi, Chris. Love the show. I appreciate it, John. I do. Thanks for being here, man." Z Humble Pie's in there. Phil C says, "Glad to be with you all." Well, I appreciate it, Phil. Glad to have you here. Claire Mead's in here. Mauricio, what's going on? Mauricio Rocha. Chris in his galaxy. Woo! Oh. Glenn, I'm not even sure. I'm not sure if it was the backside of the moon or where it was at. Now, I don't know if, I know some of you guys are actually subbed to GoofOn, right? And he did a mention, he gave me a mention as well as Jean's videos. And he only ran it for like a short time. For like 2 minutes maybe, my part of my video. So he didn't get to show like the actual hazed over, if you will, or censored out, washed out photo, and then showed what I had showed. Because he actually done a part of the new moon video and showed like the aerial view one, right? And you know, of course, I like Richie a lot because he'll question things. He's not just going with the flow. Yeah, that's great, man. That's awesome. He's the best. He'll question stuff, which you should. And, you know, he was like, well, I'm not so sure about those, but yeah, that's wild, the way those things are all lined up in a row and stuff like that. So you'll get, you know, people going, I don't see it. And then, of course, some people going, wow, that's just wild. And I think we actually got a few folks from him. I'm not sure. But if you are, I appreciate you being here, and I hope you subbed. You know, Richie's a good guy. I think I heard him saying a couple of you guys are like, yeah, man, get him on there. Get Chris on there. You know, I wouldn't mind going on there with Richie. Richie's a cool guy. Laid back. He's just kind of, he's like me. He's like down to earth and just has a good time with it. So, you know, so again, if anybody here is from GoofOn, appreciate you coming over. And, you know, like I said, I'm subbed to him as well. He's got some good stuff. If you guys haven't checked him out, check him out. GoofOn. Richie's pretty cool. But, and he has a lot of the same views I do. I mean, of course, he talks about different subjects as well. But he was on the subject about, you know, Luis Elizondo, whatever his name is. I don't care to remember because I just think he's a joke. You know, and I don't mean in a strict sense, like the guy's a complete, you know, jerk or something like that. I mean just like, is it me, or because of all of a sudden the Pentagon came out with these, you know, these UFOs, UAFs, would call them what the hell you want. I'd still call them UFOs. That's why I don't even care about the other terminology. It's like all of a sudden, everybody jumped on this bandwagon. Everybody's seen UFOs, and everybody wants to be part of the community, and they're literally just going to town on it. Like, embellishment is an understatement. I mean, they're just, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. And I've already echoed, you know, I've already said, and I'll echo what I said last time about how, you know, it's like it said, that, you know, Lewis is like this fear-mongering, oh, they're in our airspace, and you can almost bet, and I don't know this for sure, but you can almost bet it's probably ours. You know, let's suppose it's not, okay? I can understand why they're on edge, because if it's another country, they're thinking, oh, God, what else are they capable of? They can do this. Now, they've questioned that a lot of things, saying about, you know, the inertia and everything else from stop and going, doing these turns, these elevation up and downs, and from 80,000 to 20,000 feet within seconds, you know, would kill a person. How do we know it's even manned? How do we know it's not just a drone? If it's a drone, they probably haven't figured out how to keep somebody in there without getting them plastered against the wall the second they made one move, because it would instantly kill a person, right? So, yeah. So, to me, it seems like it's a bunch of crap. If anything, at very best, to me, and again, this is only my opinion, I think it's some kind of drone. Like I said, unless they've gotten that far with, you know, anti-gravitics, where you don't feel the inertia, you don't feel any of that inside this craft, I don't see it. I mean, that's pretty, just that alone is crazy, dudes. You know what I mean? Like, well, and dudettes. But think about this. The maneuvers that thing does, again, it'll kill a human being. Do you guys think they've gotten further than just making like a drone type thing to be able to do that? Or do you think they're actually made manned as well? And I'm not talking about spacecraft to be able to go out in space. I'm saying for those types of maneuvers. And I can see something going and taking off. I get that. So I can see those be manned. But something moving like that, what do you guys think? Tony P. No, I haven't seen him yet. I'd love to see him jump in there. Alfie Joe Bob, you said Richie is hilarious. Yeah, he can be, can't he? But you said I watch Goof on every night. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's a good guy. To me, he's down to earth, and just tells it how he sees it. You know, even if he's not 100% correct, like me, I can't be right about everything, and I'm learning like everybody else, right? So, but yeah, he can be hilarious. The United States government believes in UFOs. Oh, Mimi, really? He said UFOs are on Vogue. Kylie said moon structures are millions of years old. That's why they look wild. Well, I mean, like I said, other channels will make these things. I've seen people with actual telescopes do this where they show like these rectangular, everything's a rectangle or a square, and they're so vague because they're compression artifacts. That's why when you zoom in and then you try to enhance them, you literally are enhancing artifacts. When you see the different shapes that are really truly on the moon, yeah, there's no way. Those are the real deal right there. Now, I had a couple people question me that had come on there and said, well, so you're telling me that this guy, and he's, of course, they're talking about me, he's found these things, but all of these other space agencies that have gone, they haven't been able to find a thing. Why would they divulge that? So I don't think they're probably wet behind the ears as far as the information that's really out there, right? Because to me it's just like, had you not watched the channel long enough, you wouldn't have a clue. You'd just be like, oh, this guy's just pulling his crap out of his rear end, basically, right? But if you really investigate these photos and check them out, one guy was saying, oh, there's no way these are manipulated. A lot of these are from the LRO, and I said, and of course I used a photo from the Apollo missions, right? And they're like, oh yeah, why would you use that? Okay, so as far as I know, and of course I'm being sarcastic here, the Apollo missions used a Hasselblad and I think a couple of different models, but they were cutting edge, and they still are today. They still make cameras. Cutting edge for back in the day. Now keep in mind the LROC was put up in 2009. I think it was either June or July. I could be wrong, but I know it was 2009. So it doesn't have the best cameras either at this point. Heck, even the Curiosity rover and even the ones back in 2004, both Opportunity and Spirit, they were 2004. Now we only have 2009, so maybe they probably increased a little bit, but as well as I do, those cameras were the bomb. And they were able to take serious photos, but then he's like, why are you using this thing? And it looks, they're probably looking through the window, and I said, oh my God, it's not the point. I can look out an airplane window and get really good photos with a camera. I don't understand the logic. Now, is it possible they happen to get it where the sun's almost angling in and reflecting like off the window and kind of making it haze? Sure, absolutely. But that's not the case here. You can just see the way the light is, and it's not the light at all, as well as I do. These have been censored and washed over purposely, and it's evident because when you get into these photos and find the stuff that's there, no way. Max K said, Chris was so stunned at the last Antarctica post. I shared it on Facebook newsfeed. It was mind-blowing. Can you imagine this on the news? Yeah, I know. And a lot of these things, I wish they'd make it to the news. And at the very least, I know you guys will agree with this, at the very least, if you can get other scientists, and I'm not talking about the ones that work with these space agencies, anything like geologists, real space scientists, astrophysics and everything else, having a really good, or at least question these photos and start digging into it. In other words, work with somebody who's into photo forensics and checking these things out, because I think they'd find out that, yeah, these things have been doctored in a big way, and yet nothing is being said about this. And now, I'm not going to say 100% of these photos have been doctored, because clearly they haven't. But I'd say a good majority that's been given to the public have. Apollo missions, even the LRO. I've seen LRO photos where it looks so pristine practically until you zoom in. And all of a sudden you see an area where it looks like they stitched in something or took the actual texture from one area and dropped it on top of another. You can actually see an outline of where they dropped it. But once you burn it, you suddenly see things pop up. It's not completely flat. So people have to be aware of that. It's not just the low-res photos, it's the high-res as well, right? Farm Van Denevong. I'm not sure if that's saying it properly, but we're just going to call you Farm if you don't mind. Hey Chris, love the vids. Wanted to send you some coordinates for Antarctica of some pyramid structures I found. Try sending it through Facebook Messenger. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, if you were you able to do it? Because sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, depending how big the file is, right? But yeah, I got some more Antarctica coming up. In fact, I was telling you guys about that, where, excuse me, Julia has sent me these. I said, if you can, give me any kind of high res. And some weird looking things in the mountains. And we're definitely going to be getting to that one pretty soon, too. Yeah, I mean, everywhere you look, I think, and I know you folks will agree, that I think a lot of these places on Earth, one, either were helped by other beings to build pyramids, Puma Punku. Well, yeah, that one, just so many of them, right? Anything to do with the Aztecs, Toltecs, all these places that were built really intelligently. And I don't mean just by a man with a brass hammer and chisel. No, we're talking about really skilled workmanship, stones, just the way they're put together. They look like, some of these things look like they were melted into like a Tetris kind of game. Everything's just perfectly put. Now, I know that they've done these because, well, the way they did them block to block, because they didn't want to put mortar in there. I get that. And they don't want it like falling apart and over years and stuff. So they kind of, I can see butting them up against, but a lot of them are actually like this. They're like at angles, and it's like they were melted into place, guys. It's like, that's just crazy how that stuff was built. So, yeah, it's just crazy. And I think we've been lied to on a level I don't think we can truly understand. I think we get the gist, but I don't think we can fathom just how far the rabbit hole goes, right? So, yeah, it's just nuts. Let's see. Mimi, Chris is Major Tom, LOL. Tommy Wiley, what's going on? Good to see you there, man. He says, great to be able to join you this evening as I am not working this week. Sweet. Vacay. That's awesome. Let me see. Phil C. said, I haven't done this breathing test you're talking about, but I hate the eye test puff of air thing. Oh, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, because you can't keep doing this with your eyes, right? Lionworks, he said, I had pneumonia a couple of years ago, and my lungs have been so messed up ever since. I started, like I said, since I was in the hospital, I started using that breathing thing, right? I guess they call it life air or whatever it is, where you basically just, just take a deep breath, blow out, and then, basically suck the air back in. You can make this thing, basically go up, and you can just hit the top of it, But the best thing to do is constantly on the thing, expand your lungs to get better. And like I said, they started like freaking me out. They're like, well, if we can't get you to, and this is when I first got in there. If we can't get you to, your oxygen levels to come up, we're going to probably put you on a CPAP. I'm thinking, are you insane? I was waiting for them to say, oh, wait a minute, we'll put you on, some other machines. No, we're good. You're not going to put me on the ventilator or any of that mess. We're not doing that. So I was hardcore on that just to get out of there. And every day it was going up, and they were like I said, the nurse come in there every day, and she's like, man, yesterday you could barely talk to me. She said, you're doing a whole lot better. I said, yeah. And I went like this, the hell did they guys? I said, damn right I am. Yeah, you got to be proactive for yourself, man. It's just because if you're not, I know people who have, when they got home, this is what they did. Oh, I'm glad I'm out of the hospital, and just sat there and watched TV. And in the meantime, muscles get weaker, everything gets worse, find it hard to get around because now you can't breathe good at all now. It just gets worse because you're not exercising. So every morning I'm out there 3 miles a day, and then I'll try to, do a little bit of jogging, try to expand it, try to get better at it. Today I couldn't because I was in my exercise room instead because it was raining out. It was really raining pretty heavy actually. So I ended up doing that, just go in that room and I don't care if it's 5 below zero with a 20-degree wind chill. Just taking it easy. If I can't do it outside, I'll do it inside. That's the way to do it. Let me jump all the way down here at the bottom, so if I missed anybody, a comment, a question that you wanted to ask, just let me know. Just rewrite it again. Yeah. Steve Garden, what's going on? You said some of those blocks weigh hundreds of tons. Yeah, like if you go to the Ballback and all of these other places, I mean, oh my God, these things are insanely large. You know, they carve them out. It's like, okay, but you have to stand them up, move them around. Now, of course, I know how they can drag them, but I don't care. You know how much of a workforce that would take to do that? That's insane. James Cragen, what's going on? Good to see you there, man. Bakovich Stravinsky, what's happening? Good to see you in there, man. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Daniel Vargas, hello from Brooklyn. What's going on, Brooklyn? Good to have you in there. My buddy Santo is from, what do you call it? From Brooklyn. Yeah, William, that's exactly like they were poured into a mold itself. Yeah, and it's like just crazy. It's like, it's cool. I mean, when you see it, it's just the way they're put together, right? Rockets, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Jean Ward, it is speculated that some Martians that fled when war broke out, they fled to Antarctica. That's what I heard too. By the way, glad to see you. I wrote you on Skype. I was going to have you try to join me if you had the time. Didn't know if you were busy or not. Maybe next week. It's up to you. But it's good to have extra people on here. You know what I mean? Talk about different things and different opinions and stuff. I like the idea of that too. So yeah. Lionheart, you said the oldest structures on Earth are the most advanced. Yeah, there's some crazy looking things. Now, if you're not there in person, you can't tell what they're really made of, if they're actually crumbling, if they're still fully intact, and so on and so forth. It's just awesome, right? Mimi, you said might have been built by humans, but with alien technology. And I think you may be right. Again, like it's written in the Egyptian text, where it says, you know, we built these pyramids with the help from the overseers. And basically they came down, like a lot of Sumerian writing, how they came down from the heavens. They taught them how to build, agriculture, different languages, mathematics. I mean, the list goes on, right? In fact, I think it was the Sumerians, how they wrote about that, where they said, actually, not that they said, but they were the first ones to have laws, different things like that. They had streets, roads, and I don't mean like just sloppy dirt roads. They literally had it organized, right? So really, really cool, at least for back then, right? Yeah, I mean, like I said, Lionheart, you make a great point. You said, I melted metal in my furnace. I'm sure that they could melt and pour basalt, just like it's a metal or glass. Yeah, but what about like in Pumapunku, where these things are diorite and they're, you know, like seriously hard stone, right? It's like it'd take a diamond cutter to literally cut into those areas. You got granite and diorite. That's insane. It's like diorite's like as strong as the diamond. So to be able to get that precision on those corners, and then of course you got another inset square and another inset square, different designs and everything else, I find that fascinating. I find that's pretty interesting. Now, could these things be accomplished? I'm sure maybe it's a lost art, and that we just don't understand it, which you would think you would because we're so technologically advanced, right? Yeah, Jean, what I agree with you. You said many megaliths are precisely cut chisels. I don't think so. Exactly. Okay, you said, awesome, let's try next week. We can do that. Like I said, we should be ready to rock and roll. Kyle, he said, I hate it when people come in and then they leave. Why not stay and watch the show? It's really good here. Well, I mean, it's not for everybody. You know, some people might be just giving it a shot, just checking it out, saying, oh, I wonder what it's all about, you know. But you know, I don't know how other people do it on their channel. I like to just get into it and just, talk about relate with you guys as well as, take roll call kind of thing and see what everybody's up to. Like I've said, it's like you guys are just like family to me. It's like close friends. So I'm not just going to go, yeah, whatever. There we go. Here's the picture, but we will roll on with those. So kind of interesting topics. I don't know if you guys, like me, I'm a kid at heart. You heard that, who was the one that told me? Some other friend of mine, I guess they were talking about how their kids seen the new Buzz Lightyear movie. I thought that was pretty funny. And it actually looks pretty cool. I've got that. I'll show it to you guys. It's pretty funny. Pretty cool as well. Z Humble Pie said Egyptian skill set was alchemy and not building engineering. Egyptians had tech transfer. It's so obvious. Yeah. It's still, they even say today we couldn't build that. Now, I'm not so sure about that, but just the engineering part of it, putting that together, or just like you say in the alchemy, just putting these things together, they still can't put a razor blade between these blocks. Now, picture this. Each block, and I forget how many blocks they said there are, weighing X amount of weight, even if these people could put this together, themselves. Let's just say they did. Because they always say, well, no, there's a way that they've done it. Here's a video about it. Now, let's suppose they did. They had it up on these big ramps and, got hundreds of men pulling these blocks up and putting them into place. Do you know how long it would take to put that in, just one block into place? First of all, they had to come up the Nile with it. They literally had to bring it up there, okay? Get it off the boat, which I can't even imagine how easy that was or how hard that was. Drag this thing over to the pyramid, drag it up a huge ramp. Now, get this thing put into position. How many? Okay? And they said it was built, what, 20 years? And they said every one of them had to go up like every 3 seconds or some BS. And to me, I think they're right. I think it's crazy. There's no way they did this. And here's the puzzling part. Over the course of time, as long as they've been here, there's been a good earthquake or two, the weathering, this, that, and the other, the settling of the blocks, and yet they're still like this, man. You can't slip a blade between them. That's crazy. And the polished granite is beyond belief. It's just crazy how these Egyptians were that smart. I think they were very, versed in how to build. But I've heard stories where the Egyptians just came along. Those things were already there. And the Sphinx was even there longer than the actual pyramid. So, yeah. Kyle Harvey, thank you again for your support, as well as you, Mr. James Cragen. Kyle says the only way for them to make these corners is with precision cutting tools, not chisels. I am a construction worker. Take my word for it. Oh, no, you're absolutely right. I was, a tool setter for 13 years. So, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's no way on this earth they could do that. Not by just ching, 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 ching. No, I don't believe that. Now, they could... I remember a video showing this like giant saw, and it's nothing like you and I would use today, right? But it's like, I think it's just like a cable or some of them were like easier cuts, were like this weird string type thing. And they would run this through block, and of course it would take X amount of time. Still cutting the block, moving the block. And like I said, if it's being brought up the Nile, first of all, it had to be cut from there, cut, manufactured, brought on a ship, brought up, unless they did it after they brought it over off the boat. There's just no way. I just find it hard to believe that they all did that. Within 20 years, X amount of blocks, that kind of weight, even if you had the workforce to do it, how do you turn corners with X amount of men? Here's a block, going straight, I don't see an issue. You're using rollers, you got the thing on there, you got X amount of people dragging this thing along, makes sense, right? Try to go up a ramp, take a corner with it. Yeah. Some say they use the power of sound and everything, vibrational, could actually pick these things up, move them, they could do different things. I don't know. To me, it's pure speculation because I haven't seen that used yet. However, I have seen videos where they do actually use movement, where they've got like a different speaker on each end, and of course they're using different tones where they can either shatter glass or they can make something levitate. So that I believe, because that's science, right? Now, about this, I'm 50-50. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm just saying 50-50. Because they very well could have done it if they had a hand, from our neighbors So very good possibility. James, you said, Chris and everyone tonight, let's be honest right now. Your vids this week, top of the range, and with that was clearly visible in them is undeniable. Yeah, I mean, like I said, these weird photos, these washed out ones from the moon, those are the ones I go after. It's kind of like the ones from Mars, right? Where they're dark. They're really, really dark. There's a reason why they're doing it. It just didn't happen to be like, dusk. That wasn't the issue. What was going on there is they purposely darkened this thing, to hide what's in there. Once we brought the brightness up, you can see all kinds of things on this side of this hillside or at the base of the hill. Just crazy things, right? Mr. Ricardo Petrozzi, thank you very much for your support as well, brother. He said, tonight's episode is sponsored by Pfizer. No, just kidding. Oops, wrong channel. P.S. Hasselblad's rock. Chris, be here till midnight GMT, then got to drop. I hear you. I hear you. I do appreciate you all. Absolutely. Amora says, geopolymers. There you go. True. Oh, this thing just jumped on me. I hate it when it does this. Oh, I think I've seen this one, Jean, you had on there. You said the massive pyramid I found on Mars, 2 kilometers long, at the base of each side, makes the Giza pyramid look like a toy. I've seen that. That is cool. You're right. And we don't know if these people went from one planet to another because they said there's a link to it, right? So that's a very good possibility. Started there, ended up here. Or, like I said before, of course, pure speculation, there was a civilization living on both planets at one time simultaneously. What do you guys think of that theory? Because I've mentioned this more than once before. I think that's the case. Again, purely speculative, but it's just weird how you can find some things on Mars that look, the similarities to what we have here on Earth is uncanny. It's just weird. And there's a couple weird rocks that should not be shaped the way they are. And I've got one of those tabs open too. And if you guys have been following along on these Martian photos, you'll see. And by the way, I'm going to be kicking some of them out this week. I might even try to get about 3 or 4 of them out. Why? Because it's in the same area. And the cool thing about these is that at first, and I still believe that they are, but they look like a roadway where the Perseverance was kind of navigating. So now I look at the picture again and I'm going, this thing's buried here. This is crazy. So there's like, you can actually make a gigapan with this thing because the way they get the pictures and sequenced, you can actually make them, like a one big pan if you wanted to. So I may do that or just do them individually because then it would be really big and I want to get the best quality I can out of them. So we're going to see what happens with that. But yeah, definitely some of those coming up. So definitely stay tuned if you're not getting notified. Just keep checking back every day because you almost can guarantee you that that's what they're doing. They're just like, yeah, we'll just knock this person off. Fairy Wings says, I love your videos. Well, I appreciate that, Fairy Wings. And I don't think I've seen you before. Have you been on here before? If you have, maybe I missed you because a lot of times I'm sitting there looking at these things and all of a sudden they'll jump down. I could just ease down with the mouse roller and just all of a sudden everything just takes off. I don't know where it goes. So I have to backtrack. Third Eye Open, what's going on? Good to have you in there. He said, greetings, folks. Good to have you in there, Third Eye Open. Keep the third eye open, definitely. See it all. Indrid Cole, what's going on? Good evening, everyone. Hope you are all keeping safe and well. We are. I hope you are too, Indrid. Let me see here. Oh. This is what I was talking about. Disney's first trailer from Lightyear, a Buzz Lightyear original story, or origin rather, looks amazing. And I was like, I'm like a kid at heart anyway. I love anything like this. Well, not anything because I'm more into the real deal stuff. But every now and then, yeah, you do want to chill with the family, watch a little something like this. So I think it's pretty cool. Let me see here. Let's see if this the audio's set.
Go. Fido. Go. Guide.
Go, bud.
Cabin pressurization is underway.
As we prepare for ignition.
Flight recorders are on. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
How come we can't make rockets that take off like that? Like precision takeoff. Ah, slingshotting around the sun. Imagine that.
There's a star waiting in the sky.
It has that kind of Star Wars feel to it every now and then when you watch the parts of this. Pretty funny.
Let all the children boogie.
That's pretty cool. What do you guys think? Like I said, something with the kids, you know, I occasionally like to just chill and watch something like that. I thought it was pretty cool. Phil C. said there was an inquiry if modern people could build the pyramids. The census was yes, it would be possible to duplicate them, but it would cost GDP of top 10 nations. Yeah, that I don't doubt. But here's my thing. What kind of tools would they have used? That's what I find interesting. It's not so much the pulling it around, because again, they've used, you know, rollers and stuff like that. Basically, it's just stripped down tree, right? And even then, these things have to be super round. And I know it's like a regular moving company. If you've ever had a shed or an outbuilding, as they call it in the South, moved around, they used basically rollers to do that. So they can just pivot it and put it in place and everything else. So I get that. They can use regular steam pipe, which is like, you know, double thickness and everything else. And you can basically roll this thing on anything. And you could be one person and roll it around. But we're talking about most of the stuff is on sand. And we're talking about tons of block. I mean, how do you roll it in sand without it actually getting buried and bogged down? So how many people would have done that? And what would it have taken to build such, you know, enormous structures, right? Oops, they just jumped again on me. Jean Ward said, "Oh, we'll watch it for sure." Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I don't see anything wrong with that. Especially, it's got to do with space. You got to, you know, and it's almost like a must, you know. And it looks pretty good considering. I mean, it's not like Toy Story, where it was like toys. That's all it was. Well, of course, this is based on that as well. But the thing is, it's got to do with space, so why not? No Pause Clock says, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." What's going on there, No Pause? Yeah, Third Eye Open. Yeah, it's a new movie. It's supposed to be, what does it say it's supposed to be coming out? Oh, summer of 2022. So, yeah. It says Pixar wrote as it unveiled the trailer on Twitter and YouTube today. And, of course, I think this was 2 days ago. So, yeah. So we're talking Wednesday. It was actually put on Twitter and YouTube. So I think it's pretty interesting. You know, it's kind of cool. Pretty sweet. Here's another one, too, because we were just talking about Antarctica, how it says, wildfires burned Antarctica 75 million years ago, charcoal remnants reveal. So, yeah, raging wildfires tore through Antarctica 75 million years ago, back when the dinosaurs still roamed the Earth, a new study finds. During the late Cretaceous period, 100 million to 66 million years ago, one of the warmest periods on Earth, Antarctica's James Ross Island, was home to the temperature forest of conifers, ferns, and flowing plants known as angiosperms, as well as the slew of dinosaurs. But it wasn't a total surprise. I mean, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just make this thing bigger here. There we go. It only takes that little bit. But it wasn't a total paradise. Ancient paleo fires burned parts of these forests to a crisp, leaving behind charcoal remnants the scientists have now scooped up and studied. The discovery expands the knowledge about the occurrence of vegetation fires during the Cretaceous, showing that such episodes were more common than previously imagined. Study lead researcher, paleobiologist at Federal University of Brazil said in a statement. So really interesting, because I even said this before, and I've showed this on the live feed, where they had these, I think it was two geologists, they were scientists anyway, but they did a core sample, and you can see this ice, permafrost, and frozen ground, and all of a sudden it got like mud, and you can see where there was basically greenery. There was organics in it. So they said it was like a lush area, like the Amazon jungle at one point, and it wouldn't surprise me. You'd have forest fires, you'd have this, you'd have that. And it was active. It did have active volcanoes back in the day, so that could actually torch a place too, right? So, yeah, pretty cool. It said the charcoal fragments were small. The largest paper-thin pieces were just 0.07 by 1.5 inches. But scanning electron and microscope images revealed their identity. These fossils are like burned gymnosperms, okay, like from the botanical family of coniferous trees called, yes, that, the researchers found. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because it wasn't, so now it confirms what they've been finding, because obviously there was a lot of forest in Antarctica, depending on how you want to look at it. So, yeah, pretty cool. So it doesn't even surprise me, even if people from Earth built these things, built on Antarctica at one point. Yeah, William Johnson, yeah, they did. He said they really kicked Buzz up a few notches, just a little bit. That makes him cooler, right? Arts and crafts. I don't know if I mentioned you earlier, but hello, good to see you in there. He said, you're just multitasking, so I'm in and out of the chat, but I'm listening. Sweet. Andrew Cole, I'll be honest with you, I watched that. He said, Chris, have you seen Dune? I did. I put it on, because I watch it from online. I'm looking at the thing, and I literally started falling asleep. I don't know if it was because it was just dragged out. I don't know. Has anybody else seen it? I was just like, I seen it, but I was just like dozing off. I'm like, I don't know why. I just couldn't get into it. And it's something I like to watch, but for some reason it seemed like it dragged. Was it the same thing with you, Mimi, and Indrid? Did you guys find it at least dragging a little bit? Because I know it was like, I think it was like 2.5 hours long. And it just like, it seemed like I had a good story plot to it, but it seemed like it dragged and dragged. And then finally started to get a little bit better, Because it's funny, I've got the a clip subwoofer hooked up to my TV, and it's like every time something, it's like, what? His eyes are like wide open, So yeah, I mean, it looked good, but for some reason it seemed like they were really stretching it out. I don't know if I said hello to you either, Mags K. If I haven't said it. Mags K, let me see. What was that other one here? Just jumped on me again. Piece of shit. Let me see. Trying to go back here. Third Eye Open, yeah, you're right about that. I know somebody had read the original one, the original Dune. Remember that I think that came out in the 80s. He said the books are better. Well, they go into a lot more detail. They're just a lot better, I don't mind reading, but a lot of times I'm just like, I ain't got time. I don't. So I really just watch the movies, and it's kind of like hurting myself because you'd rather read the book. It's more interesting. Like I said, it's just a lot more detailed. MG Toy said the first Dune was the same. Borings was the same way. And it's like, it's a good movie. It's just, I don't know. It seemed like they really stretched it. Supreme Ruler, what's happening? Good to see you in there, man. He said, hello, folks. Just got in. What show are we talking about? We're talking about the new, we're talking about the new Dune. And, of course, we were talking about the new Buzz Lightyear movie, which is going to be coming out in the summer of 2022. Like I said, if you're a kid at heart, then you don't mind watching stuff like that. And it's got to do with space, so it kind of adds to it. I mean, yeah. Oliver Klein, you're right about that. He said, nothing new, a remake of a remake of a remake. Yeah, you got that right. Jean Ward, you said, I see the version of Dune will be released in 2 separate movies. I don't know. I haven't heard about that. You mean like a 2-part, or you mean they're gonna is it gonna have like 2 different, slightly different plots to it? I mean, and I just watched it. It's a good movie, but like I said, I started dozing off. Maybe it's when it starts getting the exciting parts, I kind of watch more of it, right? So it was pretty cool that way, but other than that, I was just like dozing off. No, I seen one of them come out in the 80s, didn't it? He said David Clark Dune is 1965. No, there was one in the 80s. I'm almost positive. Supreme Ruler, Blade Runner was kind of a drag for me as well. I don't know. They had some pretty action-packed in it. It wasn't too bad. Wesley, he's a good actor. What I like about him is he's actually into martial arts, right? So it made it that much more feasible. You know, like some of these things, like some of these shows are like so outrageously crazy, like, you know, they couldn't do these things in a million years. Now, of course, they do have special theatrics and everything else to help them do these things, but I thought it was a decent movie. I didn't think it was too bad. Probably borderline, but not as bad as drawn out as Dune. I don't think, you know. Phil C. Yeah, I noticed that too. He said, notice how they got to draw dinosaurs in the Antarctica pic. They got to make it seem like it's millions of years ago. We know better, don't we? Absolutely. Well, we also know that they walked with humans as well, right? I mean, that's just, yeah, it's there. The proof is there. Aaron Turnanog. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Turnanog. That's a good one. That's a tongue twister. I like that. I thought Dune was boring. The old one. So you're saying the same thing? That it was just as boring? Yeah, exactly, Jean. I knew it was somewhere around mid-'80s, so thank you for clarifying that. I knew it was in the 80s, because even if you looked at the actors and you weren't sure, I mean, you could just tell it was right around that era, right? So, yeah. Supreme Ruler said, I just saw Prometheus for the first time. What'd you think of that? You think it was pretty interesting? I, personally, 2 thumbs up. I loved it because it talked about ancient civilizations, and then, of course, how it led him to want to go check out what's going on. And, of course, yeah, they got the funds, and, of course, the ship was built, and off they went. Thought it was a really, really good movie. Some people went, it's all right. It's like, all right, yeah, you know, it depends how much you're into it, right? Yes, Stephen Garnham, yep. Sting was the earlier Dune movie in the earlier Dune. Yep, absolutely. David Clark, you're correct. You guys are talking to Great for All. I don't know if I said hello to Great for All, but hello. Oliver Klein says, I'm back. Sweet. Carl, you said, since we're into sci-fi movies, I would go with Interstellar also. Yeah, I don't... That one there was a good movie if you watched it more than once. How many of you folks would agree with that? Because at first, it's the end part you had to really pay attention to. Because if you just watch it the first time, you're kind of like, what? And once you got to see it, I mean, I've got the gist of it, but I went back to it to see it again, just basically rewound it. Or just went back into the movie. And I watched it again. I said, okay, all right, it's starting to make more sense. And I'm like, okay, was this interdimensionally? Was this, you know what I mean? It's things you were kind of wrestling with when you've seen it. And I'm like, well, man, it's weird, you know? Ricardo Petrossi, I like that. Squid Games cost $25 to make, gross 860 mil. Nuts. Isn't that weird? Well, it's like, remember the guy that made that, what was that little video game, Flappy Bird, or whatever it's called, Flappy Bird, Floppy Bird? Of course, there's different versions of it now, because he basically said, okay, I made enough money, I'm good. And that was it. He just opted out of it, jumped off of it, and just either stopped supporting it or did whatever. He just, I'm good. The guy's probably like kicking back in Fiji, like, you know, got maybe half the island. Who knows? But crazy. Jonathan Waddell, you said, what about underwater? What are we talking about? I mean, I get the question, but I don't know what you're referring to. Yep, Angry Birds. I think that's how it started. Then they had Flappy Bird, all this weird stuff. But yeah, you're right, Ricardo. Josh D, what's going on? He said, hi there. Sorry I'm late. Need food first, just go home. Nothing wrong with that. Grab yourself a bite to eat and bam. David Clark, Star Trek is the soft disclosure. Well, it's like that guy that was in the military or whatever he was, right? I don't know if I forget exactly what his name was, but he's the one that said, anything you can dream up, we've done it. That's crazy. So if you think back to Space 1999, you think back to these weird things and stuff like that, which I'm going to show you a video, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, because I got several tabs open, and we can start jumping to these anyway. Jonathan, oh, okay. Okay, I got you. You said, Chris, it is a movie. I don't know. I'm not sure I've seen it then. Now, that was good, Kyle. You said, who loved the movie, The Book of Eli? That was a good movie. And a hell of a twister at the end, wasn't it? Pretty sweet. Well, how about the other movies that were kind of total flops? What was it, like Galaxy of Terror, stuff like that? You can see it was like cheesily made. It's like it took them like $500 to make the movie. Had Aaron from Happy Days, you know, Joni, and just weird. It was like anything your mind can think of, it would make it reality. So, and it's so long ago since I've seen that movie. So it basically was like, because of people so darn evil, and their minds like are just always on the negative side, that's all that happened to these people. They were torn to pieces, or they were, one of them was, I'm going to use the term seduced by a giant worm. That was just bizarre crap. Really weird. Like I said, it took them about $500 to make the movie. Just weird stuff like that. It's like, eh. Rockets, I agree with you. You said I like the H.G. Wells War of the Worlds. Even the new one with Tom Cruise, a newer one, was pretty good, right? That wasn't too bad. You know, there was, you know, like The Day the Earth Stood Still. The original one was pretty cool. As cheesy as it was, it's still a good movie back then, right? General Meow. William Shatner, a.k.a. Captain Kirk, said the Earth is not flat. Definitely not. Definitely not. Enrico, is it possible Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey could be kind of a whistleblowing. In a sense, I mean, I guess you could say that because you can bet, well, the structure's on the moon. So, you know, they find this obelisk or whatever it was, and, you know, so did they find the exact same thing? Probably not. But clearly the structure's on the moon, so it's not far-fetched if you really think about it. Kyle Harvey, up the abyss. Templar says Mars attacks. Yeah, that was drawn out too. I gotta agree with you, Steve. He said 2001 A Space Odyssey, long and boring. Yeah, man, it's like, just get to the... I mean, it was just like always showing the outside of the spaceship, and it was always like in space, and then, oh my God, it just dragged. Pete Ferreira, yep, I watched The Day the Earth Stood Still from the 1950s. It's more today than new film. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, back then it was just black and white. You can see like the robot, you can see he's in this, there's a uniform, but I mean, it was still a good movie for the day. I mean, it was, there wasn't even special effects. That's the crazy part. And if there was, you know, it was so like, yeah, simple. Contact, absolute good one. Absolutely good movie. Fire in the Sky was good as well there. Great for All, yep. And it's supposed to be, of course, real. Which one are you talking about, Jonathan? You said, Chris, not a great movie. Jeremy Allen, we now know since 1995 Martians hate us. I don't know. Oh, you didn't like an MV He said Contact was crap. Really? I thought it was actually pretty good because the way that, you know, it was basically, you know, they got the signal. I love the idea that they were like looking into the signal itself, where there's almost like what they call a sideband kind of thing. There's a signal buried within a signal. And then, of course, they got these, basically it's plans to build this thing. And, of course, they go through it. I love the idea of the message where she goes in. It's supposed to be this alien, but it made himself look like her dad. And he was saying, we've been doing this for millions of years, and you guys are just not ready. What have we talked about lately? About if there is actually aliens that they're not going to, even if they're just flying over our skies, they're not ready to make full contact with the public. If they are doing it with the actual higher-ups and the elite class, so to speak, then they're doing it with them, not us. And they're probably saying the same thing. These people on this planet, they're just not ready. They're just not. So it's kind of good in that aspect. I like the way they broke the movie down, right? Yeah, exactly, Pete. It was, you know, was thought-provoking. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. Okay, Jonathan, you said Chris 2001. Yeah. Yeah, it was very, like I said, it was very drawn out. I love the idea once they got to it, meaning that on the moon and stuff like that wasn't half bad, but in the meantime, you're like, trying to think of 50 ways to kill yourself because you're just like, oh my God, is this thing going to get to the point? Is this movie ever going to just get with it? You guys are talking about Terminator. Oliver Klein's like, give me your clothes. Actually, he says, your clothes, give them to me. And he walks in there just all nude and stuff. I thought that was pretty funny. Jean Ward, that was actually a good movie, Spaceballs. Oh my God. She went from blow to suck. I have. That's actually a good one, Terry. Terry Kelling, he said, hi Chris, have you watched Alien Covenant? Yes. Another good movie. I like all of the ones, even if you could call them spin-offs. I mean, even though they're part of the Alien productions, right? Still really good. I thought they were really good movies. It was different, right? And I liked it. Imagine having something like that on this planet for real. Wow. Good knowing you all. Oh yeah, Supreme Rule, you gotta watch that. If you haven't watched it, you say, I'm now rewatching. Oh, okay, you said rewatching. Okay, 1999, Space 1999. Love it. as you can see, my screen. Yep, got to love it. Sun fires off major solar flare from Earth-facing sunspot. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this because this is from SOHO, the actual satellite that's around there. And I forgot exactly what the acronym is for that, but it says the sun fired off a 1X, or X1, I'm sorry, class solar flare. And they go up from like X2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up, right? And of course, 1X being, it's a solar flare, but it's not intense. It's most, let me just go down here. It's most powerful kind of flare that peaked at 11:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 15:30 GMT. According to the alert from U.S. Space Weather Prediction Center, or the SWPC, which tracks space weather events. The flare caused a temporary but strong radio blackout across the sunlit side of Earth, centered in South America. The group wrote in a statement, NASA officials call the solar eruption a significant solar flare, but that's small compared to, obviously, like I said, adding that it was captured in real-time video by the space agency's Solar Dynamics Observatory. So there, you know, it's pretty sweet. The corona mass ejection, or CMEs, from the flare, a huge eruption of charged particles, could reach Earth by Saturday on Sunday, October 30th. So there you go, 31st. It's either one. Just in time for Halloween, spaceweather.com reported the eruption could supercharge Earth's northern lights. So get ready for that, folks, if you live in that upper hemisphere. And potentially interfere with satellite-based communication. So if you go to use your cell phone and it's, or at least your cell phone, that's a satellite phone, then you may be SOL. But here's the actual video. It's pretty cool, and it shows it. There it goes. CME. It's basically like the sun just farted in our direction. Exactly, Mimi. I was just saying the same. Sun farts. Yeah, you just said. It's basically just farted in our direction. It'll be all right. Let's see. I have to wait until this one starts and then. Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, in fact, somebody was a friend of mine, his wife had put on something about, it was kind of comical because she says, it says, you know how like you can put your own saying in there. It said, if you drive an electric car, what do you do when you run out of electricity? Go down to the store and get a bucket of electricity? I went, is she for real? I said, no, not if you're conscious about, you know, your distance of where you travel and stuff like that. And of course, you know, you'd never have an issue. And of course, she had this cut and paste she put on there. I said, you know, the article is BS if you understand electricity and electric cars, you know, because it was saying that, you know, if you get some kind of solar flare or this, that, and I said, you know, ICE or internal combustion cars are no different. Every car runs on a computer. If you get a real good, like any kind of magnetic pulse or something that's going to knock out every computer. And if you're in this, let's say you're in this one of these islands that get, hit really badly from this catastrophic, maybe it's a hurricane. It's like, in serious, like wipes out the island. And if you're lucky enough, your car's still there. Okay, you're gonna run out of gas at some point, and there's no electricity. So how do you fuel up your car? So you're really in the same boat as anybody else. It's totally irrelevant. Will your car run longer because you've got gas in it? Maybe you fill the tank. Sure. But when it does run out, and if you're not lucky enough to get your electricity put back on, you're basically SOL. Where if I get enough fuel, because I know I'll need it for whatever, I can always just charge my car up with a generator. I'm back on the road. but at some point my gas will run out. So you know what I mean? There's nobody wins here. It's everybody's just. So you know, it's kind of like, you know, I was just kind of like said, listen, you know, broke it down for it. You're no better off. And if you understand the way cars are today and how they're getting much better, then yeah, you totally get it. John Ward, you said, I love the trip through the cosmos in the Contact movie by Sagan. Well, what I like is if you watch The Pale Blue Dot, the original version. Everybody should listen to that every morning. It's just cool. It's a really, really good movie. Well, basically a video. It's not really a movie, but it's part from the cosmos. Well, it's a series, The Cosmos. And really, really good. So if you get a chance, just watch it. I mean, it's just like, you just know that, well, the way he puts it, it's like you're just a little itty bitty person on this little planet it's like it's a stardust. Basically, it's a piece of dust. But I think he even knew back then, you know, that there was much more than we are. Come on, how do you not? Yes, I did, Indrid. You said, Chris, did you see the video of a few years ago of the enormous ball of something which seemed to be feeding off the sun rather, I'm sorry, then took off at incredible speed? I did. It had like a tail, and it looked like a vortex of either the plasma coming off the sun or whatever it was, but then it's like it's like disconnected itself and took off. Now, some people tell you it was just a funneling, you know, plasma coming off like I said, it's like a twister type thing. A plasma just formed a ball, and of course it just released. But yeah, that thing looks so realistic that you couldn't help but to go, wow, that thing is crazy looking, right? Yeah. But yeah, I did see that. That was pretty much over everybody's channel at that point, right? Everybody's talking about that. Michael Stark, he said, NASA has the best CGI departments ever, and since public has no other references to compare any space images, we believe that what we're shown and told. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, and that's why I took a great interest in this, because I'm going, these photos are not fake; they're just being overlaid with fakery, right? And the techniques are just wild what they do to these things, and so yeah, it's just really crazy. I just think that, you know, when you look at these photos, you're going, there's much more to these photos. They're the original. If you look at the low res and not getting the high, you know, high res photos, although that works too, but the low res, actually, you can actually see the areas where they actually made it or mess with these photos, which is pretty cool. This is the reason why I don't like to use any real low. I'll get lowest would probably be, if I can get the lowest TIFF, which is not the best photo, JPEG, or crapski. But if you don't have any alternative, you have to use that, right? So anything above TIFFs and more, obviously the best you can get, you're better off with. But me personally, I just go, there's much more in there. I got to rip these things apart. And that's what prompted me to do these too, because I've seen so much more in these photos. There you go, Jeff Gashid, you said, carry a Honda generator in the trunk. Yeah, but believe it or not, that doesn't even work. You actually have to have an actual ground, not an artificial ground. But you can actually modify a generator to do that. Enrico, you said a bucket of gravity would be useful. True. Supreme Ruler says, turn your windows into solar panels. Well, would it help? I actually got 2 solar panels in my windows. Does that work? Which I got a small solar setup, which works great. And like I said, I charge up my phones with it at night. The wife and I can just charge them both up at the same time. It doesn't even make a dent in the battery. And it's not even a big battery. It's only like this big. It's like this big, and it's about that tall. Nothing fancy. But it's a whole lot bigger than the batteries in these phones. And even both of them on there just barely made a dent in the battery. Alan Keene, he said, will the new blood at NASA eventually spill the beans? Nah, probably not. But you notice how, like we were talking about, how the new director, if you will, he's more convinced. Yeah, there's more life out there. There's UFOs, this, that, and the other. Again, steering the populace to a certain way. And it's like stuff we're going, everybody's sitting around, I know I am, and I know you folks are too. You're just going, oh my God, just spill it already. We already know the answers, but we don't know all the details. There's a difference. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the actual details, even if it's one photo, guys. And you know this as well as I do. If you see one that was undoctored, unmessed with, not censored at all, just one, Moon or Mars, you just, that's it. It's done. It's sealed. But the best we can do is get these photos and rip them apart and find out what's being hidden in them. And I forget, somebody said on the video, the last moon when I did, they said, if we could only get one clear. Well, keep in mind, they had that layer of haze over it. So you have to try to get through that. And you're basically bringing the contrasted parts of the video through it, or the photo rather through it. So you're doing the best you can to get it through without overdoing it, because that's the last thing you want to do to the photo. You don't want to destroy it. You want to bring out the details that are in it, right? So yeah. Elaine Millard says, be right back. Just going to wrap my paintbrushes up and cling film, save loads of water. Washes them each night. Sweet. Let's see. A doomed comet just fell into the sun. Here's the video. This I find interesting. Now, I want you guys to tell me what you think after you see this. This is pretty cool.
On this day in space.
I don't know why it's such crappy.
On October 28, 1971,
horrible.
the United Kingdom launched its first satellite. The satellite was named Prospero, but it was also known as the X-3. This wasn't Britain's first satellite, but it was the first and only one the British space program launched with one of its own rockets. The first 6 British satellites all launched from the United States on NASA's rockets. Prospero launched on a carrier rocket called the Black Arrow. This mission was the 4th and final flight of a Black Arrow rocket. It was designed to study how the environment in space affects communication satellites. It tested things like solar cells and telemetry systems, and even had a micrometeoroid detector that would determine if small particles in space posed a threat to the spacecraft. The mission lifted off from the Woomera Range complex in Australia. While the launch was a success, the rocket's final stage bumped into the satellite after it separated, and the collision broke one of Prospero's 4 radio antennas. But the satellite still worked, and it remained operational until 1973. And that's what happened on this day in space.
There we go. I had it on earlier. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, so what do you guys think about that? And I just thanked Ricardo again because they were just saying there was no sound. I don't know why, because I shut it off early, but I put it back on. But anyway, again, Ricardo, I do appreciate you. Thank you. He said, Spaceship Earth, rather, the best intergalactic ride you'll ever have. Absolutely. These, you know, especially we were talking about Carl Sagan earlier. I think he was I respected him a lot because he put it a lot in dummy terms, right? Layman's terms people could understand, everything about the cosmos. That's why it was a good series. A lot of people enjoyed that. I like the pale blue dot because that's really, really interesting part of that. And like I said, it's so humbling when you hear him talk about it. It's pretty cool. Max K said, Chris, if the moon is moving away from us, will our gravity get less and less? Might need lead in our shoes. No, I think it'll be fine. I think what it is, I mean, it has a lot to do with our, the water on Earth, right? We had the tides roll in or roll out rather. But if there was, and I'm saying if, it's a huge if there was a time without the moon, clearly life went on. Like a lot of ancients talk about, like we talked about before, where they talked about how there was a time without the moon. Yeah, it's supposed to be like an inch to an inch and a half every year it's moving away. So we'll definitely all be compost, and our grandkids will be compost by the time nearly any of that ever happens. Unless, of course, we kill ourselves off first, then we'll see our demise that way. But, yeah. But, let me see if we go down. Whoop. Okay, you guys are like, dude, sound. Yeah. As soon as I seen what you guys mentioned, I was like, oh, I don't know why it didn't go back on. But here we are. No, I don't think I have, Indrid. Pretty interesting. He said, Chris, have you ever heard of the story of the Solway Firth? Is it Firth or Filth? Not Filth. First. Filth. Spaceman and his relationship to the Blue Streak rocket technology. Well worth a look. I'll have to look into that. Mars League, she said, saw your video about the photos that Lunar Orbiter 2 took at the Copernicus crater. That was amazing. This thing will be a little bit bigger here. This is a little bit, this is a little bit further away too, and it kind of messes with my eyes. I hate it when that happens. Okay, there we go. I don't know why this thing's acting stupid today. I had to just do it that way. Just a little smaller than I'm used to seeing. You got compost. John Sharp, what's happening? He said, hello, Chris and everyone. I think the California coast is sinking, not the moon moving. Well, I mean, if a lot of the ice is melting off, like Antarctica and Greenland, Iceland, all at the same time, you can bet the oceans are going to go up. And they're still talking about that. Within X amount of years, you can see like a 20-foot rise in oceans, which, of course, New York City would probably be underwater. Probably half of, Florida would get a whole lot thinner, meaning coastlines and stuff. Oh, yeah, it'll play havoc. John Sharp says, I'm late tonight. You'll be all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Good to have you in there, as usual. Let's see. This one here is pretty interesting, this video. And the reason why I say that is when you hear what she says in it, and this is like 3 minutes long, I think. Or 3.5 minutes, almost 4 minutes long. You got to listen to what she says in this because and it's a lot of it's got. I think this is the video. It has some of the Russian space program in here as well. But it's just a cool video. Let me see here. Make sure this is right here. Sputnik. Huh.
4th of October 1957, the start of the space race.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket.
Launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, Sputnik orbited every 98 minutes, broadcasting a radio signal to the Earth below.
It was a major event. It was the start of the conquest of space by the Soviets, which nobody was expecting. We were expecting it to be the Americans, of course, who did come along later, but it was a major panic in the capitals of the West, knowing that the Russians, the Soviets, were capable of doing such a thing.
The satellite was built by Energia and led by chief designer Sergei Korolev. One of the original Sputnik flight spares hangs in the state company's private museum.
It was suggested after the first successful launches of the R-7 rocket to launch the simplest possible Sputnik, which meant that it was not supposed to have any scientific equipment. It just had batteries, a thermal regulation system, and a transmission module.
Within weeks of Sputnik, the Soviets had launched the first dog into space. Then the first moon probe. And in 1961, the first man, Yuri Gagarin, followed by the first woman. And the first spacewalk.
The government issued the Program of the Future Exploration of Space. In this paper, they mentioned automatic stations flying to the moon, flights to Mars and Venus. They mentioned the flight of human beings to space. They spoke about man stepping on Mars, Venus, and the moon.
Now listen to that, folks. They were talking about this back in 59. Even if we were going to the 60s, they were talking about this then. So they knew they could get these. They just got Sputnik out there. Then, of course, they had like the first man. They had the, like it said, it had a Yuri on there. Well, the first man, of course. And then, of course, they had a woman flying out there. Then they were talking about this stuff back then. So why would they stop going into space if they knew that they could do it? Especially if they say, okay, we know how to get it out into orbit. Okay, now we need to figure a way to get it over to the moon. Then we need to figure out how to get to Mars, so on and so forth. But there it is. He says it right there.
And building their stations there. I draw your attention to the fact that it was in December 1959.
60 years on, today's communications satellites, such as Europe's giant AlphaSat, can trace their origins to Sputnik. And every astronaut bound for the International Space Station still blasts off from Baikonur. These days, however, it's all about international cooperation rather than competition.
Я думаю, сейчас даже не столько важно, где мы будем.
I believe now it's not that important.
Now, this is the first time I've heard Russia even talk about their mission to Mars. This is what's crazy. Now, keep in mind, I think this video was last year. Might have been last year's. But listen what he says.
In which field we are first. What matters is what we're aiming to do with our partners. I mean those really important breakthrough explorations. Among them is ExoMars, the second stage of which we're going to launch in 2020. And now we're in the phase of active preparation. I also mean
Now, I told you guys before that they went in, it was the end of the year, but it seemed to me, he said 2020, but it seemed to me it was even 2019. But let's say it was 2020, and I'm saying, wow, at the end of the year, you didn't hear much about this. You heard nothing about it. It was just like, okay, we're launching something to Mars. You never heard another word about it. Now here we are talking about it. But have we heard anything else about Russia's lander or any of that sort? Not a thing. Nothing.
Explorations of the moon, which will bring us closer to the exploration of the lunar environment and to establishing a station which can be visited and lived in there.
At the Cosmonautics Museum in Moscow, visitors can see the relics of humanity's first steps into space and marvel at the engineering and ambition of those early missions. They can also look forward to the next 60 years in space, with nations working together on missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond.
I just thought it was interesting how they were actually, talking about this back in the late 50s, even if it was the early 60s. And this was before going to, the United States went on the Apollo missions, which started in 69, right? And I think it was until 72. But either way, it's just like they were thinking about this then. They all had these dreams and ideas. So what you do is you implement and you say, okay, can we get something out into orbit? Well, yes, we did. We got Sputnik. Okay, so now we get the rocket part of it set up. We know we can get out there. Okay, next step. How do we get to the moon? So, during then, back in the Soviet Union, when they had the Lunokhod rover basically on the moon, again, they didn't send a man. They just sent a rover. 8-wheel rover, kind of like what we have today, only we have 6 wheels. And it had like a camera and satellite dish and everything else on it. And they had more than one of these things. It was crazy. So, let me see here. I turn that off. We don't need that on. So, all it is just step by step by step until you end up on Mars. Now, a lot of people believe that they are on Mars, and that's a very good possibility. Again, if I was some kind of space program, I wouldn't stop. If I know I can get that far, of course, we don't know if it's all secret, how many people might have bit the dust in those missions too, right? Kyle, you said, do you know that they have to test this stuff before they start pumping, and it's all of the public? They haven't had enough time to make sure that actually is going to be safe. Hmm? Oh, let me see. John Schaub, said total BS from USSR. Well, here's the thing, though. Back then, it was a huge space race, right? We know that. And like I said, we had our Apollo missions. They had the Lunokhod, which I think is, in a way, is kind of smart. Here's my thing, and I've said this before. We went to the moon, not to gather rocks and silly dust and all that other BS that they gave the public. Again, that was a PR move, but the real work was being done either A, going there to build something, or it was a recon mission. Simple as that. I think it was more of a recon mission than anything. But we want to get our hands on these things because we knew from either the orbiter or very super powerful, very large telescopes, and we can see what's on the surface. So we said we got to get there. We got to put our hands on this stuff, get a piece of it, bring it home in a suitcase along. Well, then make sure you bring the rocks first, so we just make that look good. And then, of course, Russia wasn't stupid. They were like, well, we don't want to take the chance, and maybe they were a couple of years behind as far as sending somebody to the moon. They said, you know what? Not a problem. Go ahead and send a rover. What's going to happen? Worst case, scenario, it could crash. At least nobody died. So they get up there, at least they may have not been able to put their hands on it or recover some of it, but at least they got to see it. And this thing, I think it traveled you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like it was a mile and a half that this thing traveled, maybe even more than that. And it traveled, I'm going, why? It's nothing more than rocks and garbage there. What's there to see? It's dust and rocks, and so let's go and take close looks at rocks. What was the point of them being up there? So if all of this is true, then they went up there to take a look at these things, send the images back. They didn't give a crap if they had a person there. They just want to see for themselves. They probably got a tip on there. Hey, you don't understand. The U.S. is going up there. They're going to be gathering stuff up there. Really? What's up there? Well, we can't get man up there right now, so let's just send something up there so we can take photos and send them back, and then we'll be able to see for ourselves. And I wouldn't blame them. Any country, for that matter. It's not just any particular country, even if you don't trust them, it's not even that. It's about saying, listen, I want to get up there, especially if I was a billionaire back then. It's like, build something, send it up there, send pictures back. I want to see for myself. And I think anybody would do that. James, yeah, I was just reading because Kyle just said, did you see what he said? Exactly, and I am in the pharmaceutical company, yeah, which I knew, which was pretty cool, for the last 21 years, and I can honestly tell you, the so-called vaccines that are being forced onto people now, I wouldn't give to a dead cow. You know, it'd probably actually bring the cow back to, you know, of course it'd be mental after that and probably eat somebody, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You know, in fact, I went to the doctor's yesterday, and he asked me, he says, did you have your shot? Nope. I said I couldn't get it right now anyway. It had to be the end of November before I can even get it. And I wouldn't get it anyway. Like I said, my neighbors were looking at me because I was telling them that. They're going, I said, come on, be honest, guys. You guys, when I left you guys, because there was 2 of them plus myself, I said, when I walked away, you guys must have said, man, he's an idiot. I mean, he just had this thing, and he's not even going to get the shot. It's exactly why I'm not getting the shot, because I had it. And I've got more antibodies than anybody, like 10 people that have a shot, so who get the jab. So, yeah. And even then, don't trust it. I really don't. And Kyle, yeah, so that's why I was just reading it to him. Again, thanks for your support, brother. He said, everybody read what James Cragen just wrote or just said. Yeah, I mean, because it's not, it attacks the autoimmune. And like I said, I described this before, where they say they got, you know, you got C cells, T cells, and what it does is it literally attacks these. Now, these cells protect your body from cancer and all these other foreign bodies coming into your body itself. If you were to shut them off, then it's open season on your body. You can fall sick to anything. And like I said, that guy was saying that, you know, what's going to happen is you're going to find, you know, he said, well, what he found too was that I'm already seeing an increase in HIV, cancers, so on and so forth. And he means a spike, not just something that's, it's on the rise anyway. I mean, this is just like, yeah, he's seeing it. So it basically opens up your body to say, hey, give it to me. And that's not the way I want to roll. Now, you know, it's like I said, well, you know, getting older and stuff like that, you might want to at least get the flu shot, but not that shot. But now they're trying to incorporate the both of them together. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. There's got to be another way around it. Max K. After I took it, the fridge magnetic stuck to my arm. You're just playing, right? Because I know a lot of people have stated that they're saying, oh, look at it, it would stick to them. And they said, listen, you see people going, it doesn't stick to you. But regardless of the fact, what's in it is BS. Kind of like what you're saying right there. I think it's BS. Yeah, that's what you get for using talk to text, man. You know better than that. Every time I do that thing will go stupid on me. Yep, John Choppy said, Chris, a lady got COVID after 2 shots. I got nothing. There's a lot of people like that. Of course, a lot of people like, you know, on both sides, people argue, and they got good arguments. But to me, it comes down to personal preference. Some people just don't want to get it. Why? They don't want that crap in their body. Now, of course, the government keeps saying it's safe, it's safe, it's safe. Go ahead and take it. It's safe, it's safe. Get the extra jabs, by the way. You'll be fine. You'll love it. Well, wait a minute. If it's on the decline to begin with, let's say everybody on the planet got the double jab. Okay. And at some point, it's going to die off by itself anyway, because even if nobody got the shot at all, and everybody got COVID, got over it, you just built antibodies. So even if, who's going to get it after? If you get the new, let's say new strains coming down the pike, you'll get it. Because you already have antibodies from the first one, you will fight off the second one. You might get a mild case of it, just like your shot will. And you'll get over it. Again, now your body builds new antibodies. So now you got antibodies from 2 different COVIDs. Now another one comes along. And because your body is already, it's programmed into the actual bones of your body, Every time a foreign body comes in, it comes out and attacks it. So now you're building, 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 building. This is what your immune system is made for. So, yeah. Apparently somebody didn't like that because they just gave me a thumbs down because of that. Now, I'm not saying that nobody should get the shot. That's your personal preference. You should get it if you feel you do. I know people have told me, this friends of mine, I said, listen, I've got to get it. My grandparents and my mom and dad are very old. The last thing I want to do is take it home to them and kill them. Totally get it. It makes perfect sense to me. I just don't want it. That's all. Now, I'm not speaking for everybody here. Do what you want. If you feel an imperative you should get it, you should. I'm not saying you should not. My personal preference. That's it. That's what it really comes down to. John. Now that's good. I like that. My car stuck to my nads. Oh, that's bad. When you actually stick to it, because you're lighter than the car, can you imagine walking by and just ting, you just get stuck to it? Oh my God, that's funny. That is too funny. Yeah, I agree with you, James. You said let's not dwell on the vaccine situation too much. Let's not forget about anyone who might be worried here tonight. So, Chris, the moon landing video. Oh, great way to segue. A showstopper big time without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not even anything to fear anyway. It really isn't. One way or the other, you'll be protected. And if it is BS that it'll affect you in some future, then you're still protected. So you got to look at it that way. Like I said, I just speak in personal preference, like anybody here. It's, you know, some people say, listen, I've done my research. It's perfectly fine. I'm good. All right. Like I said, it's personal preferences. That's all it is. 786 Auto, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Good to see you in there. Cryptic Code, you said my girlfriend got the vaccine, but my daughter and I chose not to get it. And again, that's people's personal choice, that's all. Robert Morgan says, smash the like button. Only 4 likes out of 137? Oh, dislikes. That's actually 4 dislikes. But there's 140 thumbs up. And I know there's more people in here. Even though it says 133, but it's always varying in the numbers. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, like I said, I don't, you know me, I don't push anything that's got to do with, like, you know, when he's coming with these aliens and stuff, when they're talking about, oh, they're in airspace, people get all jerky about it and everything else. I said, listen, again, if I didn't like this planet, I didn't like the parasites, the people on it, then what I would do is I would not shut down a missile silo. I would set it off. So they'd go, ooh, and make it look like an accident and kill the whole base off and anything else around it, because how many like missiles are in that missile silos are on that base? So why not just kill off the whole base and then some? Why not do it all over the world and say, ooh, I don't know what it is, but somehow these things are going off by accident. Nobody's none the wiser. Come on. If they really wanted to kill us, there's a million ways to kill the human race if they really wanted to. How about just melt the ice in Antarctica and Greenland and just purposely do it? Nobody's there to see it. Just melt it off and, oh well, I don't know what happened. Water in the ocean just went up 20, 30 feet. Oops. I mean, there's so many ways, man. Come on. That's why I don't believe in this fear-mongering stuff. It doesn't matter what the topic is, right? Now, if there is something that I've found that was absolutely scary, meaning dangerous, I'll forewarn people. Like when we were talking about back in last year when people were going buck wild, buying all kinds of supplies, crap paper, the whole 9 yards. I said, guys, start doing it, because I work in a grocery store, basically a big chain. So it's kind of like, you know, I gave you the heads up because I knew what was going on. We have to get the merchandise, and it was even harder for us to get it. So obviously I'm going to tell you guys to go out and get it, so this way you're aware. Now, there's still issues with, we can't even get, you know, let's say you ordered 10,000 pieces. You might be lucky to get 1,000. So there's still a strain, but that's because of the ships, out off the coast. You can't get anybody to even come over and get the damn things. You can't even have anybody to come over and do the work once they dock on at the docks. They have nobody to work. It's like, it's crazy. Kurtabanas, COVID, the old tale of the end of the earth, or the end of the world. Same thing, right? Same thing. Well, you know, Kyle, to be honest with you, you said your question was, why are UFOs so interested in our missile silos or missile base? To me, they must be just saying, let's see what kind of weaponry they have, even though if they go to the actual, you know, real technology, like you go to the real bases where they got like, you know, radio, basically warfare and stuff like that, where they have basically microwave weapons and stuff of that sort. That's where they're going to find it intriguing. Missiles haven't changed all that much, other than better guidance and be able to fly farther, which China has done. I think it was China, where they've flown all the way around the world within what, 3 hours, I think it was? Something ridiculous. I don't think I'd be worried about the UFOs. I'd be worried about China. They're growing exponentially, and they really got their crap together. Now, are they, you know, stronger than any other country? I don't believe that they are. Well, I mean, unless you're a third world country, basically poor. But, you know, as far as like larger countries, no. I don't think they're stronger than the United States. Unless, of course, you go by what the regular news tells you. It's like, oh, yeah, all we have is missiles, and that's pretty much it. So they may dominate us. A lot better weaponry than we can even imagine. So I don't think people are really worried about it. John Sharpie said, Chris, how about the misses? Are you talking about getting the shot? Or if you're talking about the shot now, she didn't get it either. My whole family didn't. Nope. We already got it too. We already got the, didn't need the vaccination. We already had COVID. John Shop, to kill a human race, have a chicken flavored human fried alien multi-moon pack for $1. There you go. People are like, man, what a deal. There you go, Max K. They should go to the Mexican border. They get everything. Yeah. Now, check this photo out. This is from Perseverance. And I know if you guys have been keeping an eye on these photos, you've seen this. This I find really, really interesting. Perseverance rover snaps first Mars photos after communications blackout. They're stunning. Yeah. Yeah, they're completely red and trashy, right. What I find is this rock right here on the left-hand side. How is this natural again? I mean, maybe somebody can clue me in here. Maybe I'm just clueless here. And I don't know why this is not zooming in this in. It's like the magnifier doesn't work on this one. But let's just zoom in this way. Anybody can tell me what this piece of trash is right here on the left. Look at it closely. Okay. You can see something right here. I don't know how well you can see my cursor, but it's right on top of the rock. There's something long right there, narrow, and it's on top of this so-called rock, but it's blended in, folks. It's blended in. How is this natural at all? Oh, that's what it is, Mimi. You're right. I'm sorry. He said pareidolia swamp gas. I should have realized that myself. But what I find interesting is that clearly that's not natural. There's no way this is natural. And you can see something even better. I'm trying to think if it's right down here. There's actually a skinny long piece going right here into the shadow. But check that out, folks. Look at this. Something right here coming down, going back up. Something, it's almost like a spoon. Picture the fattest piece down here, and then, of course, the handle. I'm not saying that's what it is, folks. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to give you an idea of the shape. Look at the shadow on this side of this rock on the right, where you can see on the ground it's square. Well, what is this right here? What is this mess? But you can see something right here that has like a long piece. It looks like it'd be on the right-hand side of this object. It looks like it has like a, kind of like a, I don't know, like an arch-shaped piece right here in front. In other words, if you were standing here on the right of this, looking directly into this, it looks like it has like an arch piece. And on that same right-hand side, there's like a straight piece right there with a space in between it. You can see that. And somehow this thing has a square shadow on the ground. Ricardo, he said, Chris, did you ever watch the Firefly series and movie, a future where the Chinese way dominates and is strangely juxtaposed with the Old West. No, I don't think I have seen that. I don't think I have. Robert, reptilians taste like chicken. Either that, they'll eat you. One of the two, right? William Johnson, you said the missiles are our most quick method of self-destruction. Let me see. Kyle, you said if it's straight, it's not natural. I mean, come on. I mean, I just don't know how even just a normal scientist could be anything to do with, got to do with Earth itself. In other words, archaeologists, so on and so forth. How can you look at this and go, yeah, it's a normal rock? I mean, look, it's got a nice 90-degree corner. It's got a cutout right here in the middle, it appears, like a U-shaped kind of cutout in this rock here. These are not rocks, folks. They're being made to look like rocks. And even if it was, maybe it was part of a structure, and it's just broken off, but it just happened to fall just like that, I don't believe that. I think what we're seeing here is an object that has the same kind of texture you would see on the ground, only, of course, they changed up a little bit, look a little bit more rougher, like a rock, and this is what we're seeing. In fact, they look more porous than anything, but regardless of that, I'm seeing that's not a rock. It's something that's been dressed up to look like a rock. Like Jimmy would say, rockified, or like I say, it's just rock mimicking software. That's all the stuff is. That's all that is. And I just thought that was really weird. I'm saying, what the heck is that? Let me see, let me just jump in here. Anchor Point, you said horse head statue. Yeah, it kind of has that weird shape on the right-hand side of it, doesn't it? That is pretty weird. It comes down to technology. Anchor Point, you said, still not sure why they cover control or fear of the reaction. Yeah, I mean, if you ever watched, or read rather, the Brookings report, which was basically put out by NASA back in the 60s, if you read that, I believe it was the 60s, I don't think it was the 50s, the 60s, you would see that it's almost like when they started, like they were going to start going on these missions, they said, well, let's go ahead and put this out, and, you know what I mean, and it basically says, if the humans knew about other extraterrestrials or other life forms out there, how would they react? And it wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be anything like the War of the Worlds. However, back then, probably the mindset was a lot different than it is today. In other words, people would probably, today would just go, oh wow, that's really cool, Now, if it was something flying over, something very large, the size of your city, flying over your city, you might be a little bit more concerned. But if you just said, oh, they said there was a life, civilization on Mars, but we don't know where they went, they got blown to pieces or whatever. Okay, tell me more. Can you show us pictures of it? You'd be more eager to want to find out what happened to them or what kind of, whatever they had on their planet, whether it's transportation, structures, what did they eat? How did they breathe? Was it a lot more oxygen back then? So on and so forth, right? So I think that, to me, I'd want to know. And back then, maybe not so much so, because they weren't really desensitized like we are today. Samantha Morris, what's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, hello, Chris, and everyone popping in for a quick hello. Keep up the great work, Chris. Well, thank you for being here, Samantha. I always appreciate you being here. I'm glad you could stop in and say hello. Is it tomorrow, Joss D? He said, well, I don't think you're in a different country, aren't you? Yeah. Said tomorrow our clocks here go an hour back. And before you know it, we'll be doing the same. I think ours is November, is it 7th? Phil Cox, what's going on? Hope you and the family are doing well. He said, hi Chris, hi everyone. Hope you're all doing great. I am doing good, and like I said, I hope your family's doing well. Yep, pretty much. You're talking to David Vaught. He's saying rock shopped. Nice coining of a phrase. Oh, no doubt. Jerry Lahane, what's going on? I didn't see you earlier. Maybe you just jumped right in there. Bombastic Buster. Hi, or as the Martians say, gleep glop. Might actually talk like that, too. That's what's sad. Although I don't think so. I think they're a lot like we are, or were like us. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Josh D. You said yes. One or weeks hour earlier for us. The hangout here in EU. Oh, okay. Let me get this thing down to the bottom here. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy things. What were you just saying? Oh, what's going on, Bogey? 19018. And Bogey says hi. What's going on, Bogey? John Jay, what's happening? Good to see you in there, man. Like I said, this thing jumps on me, so I don't know how long people have been in there. Terry Kelly said in the British TV series UFO, we had a secret organization called Shadow, or SHADO, that monitor aliens from secret base on the moon, etc. Do you think we have this now as real life? I think we do. Like I said, after the moon missions, I don't think they ever stopped. Look at this. This is crazy. I just noticed this while we were just talking about this. Look at this piece of trash right here. Look at the way these rocks, are covered up. Look at that. You can actually see the airbrushing. I don't think I can go in any further. I can't. And this thing, for some reason, won't go on this photo and actually show this. But it's literally, look at this, airbrushed all over it. And you can see what they've done perfectly straight up and down right here. Goes across. Got a square wide open right here. Oh my God, folks. This is nuts. This is the reason why I like the low-res photo, because I can still back out and still see that. I can still see it. Now, somebody will say, well, you should use the high res. Why? So everything's been taken out of it and everything's been fixed and it looks nice and pristine? I don't want that. I want to see the raw photo. Even if it is low res and it's garbage, that's not the point. The point is, I want to see the real deal. And that's what it comes down to. I think you're right on that, David Vaught. You said rovers and Perseverance trying to triangulate where population centers are, maximum amount of alien tech to Sanford and Son's best bunch. Son's the best bunch. Well, yeah, I mean, again, we talked about this before. You got the Cydonia region where the face of Cydonia was, and there's two large explosions. One was larger than the other. One was over, I think, the northwest. If you looked at the photo, depending on how you looked at it, the one I'm referring to, it just shows the face like this. It's normal. It was like northwest of it, there was a huge explosion, and then the chaos region to the slightly south and east of the face of Cydonia, that also had an explosion in the atmosphere, the lower atmosphere. And if you look at where these landers and everything are, they're all just south of it and a little bit west. Landers as well as rovers. What for? And even the new InSight rover is slightly north, I think, of Curiosity rover, and a little bit to the west. There is all kinds of, and they're just south of it. They're like this, around the area. Why would you do that? Unless something major happened there. One, something major was there. Something major happened, catastrophic event, to end it. They're there for a recon mission. It's as simple as that. Let me see. Yeah, I won't be able to do it on this computer because I don't have it on this one right here. But let me see. I should be able to do this. Hold on. I'll give you the photo. See if it'll go on there. It should. But let me see. I don't want to do it that way. It might interrupt the actual feed. So I don't know why it's asking me to sign into the chat. It's like, what? But it's telling me to go online. I'm like, no, I'll end up messing with the link here. I'll give it to you guys when you can see it right here, in fact. You know, when this thing ends and YouTube puts it up there, we'll go ahead and throw it up there for you. Let me see. This is on October 22nd, so clearly it's only like, you know, 7 days ago. I'm trying to see which sol it's talking about here. It's not saying. But nonetheless, I'll give you the link to it, so you'll get it. Not a big deal. And, you know, when I see these things, I'm just like, oh, come on. And I've seen this already. It's been, a couple of people had it on the social site, so it's definitely there 100%. Let me see. Somebody was just saying 2 straight lines coming from the large rock. Are you talking about over here? Mags K, are you talking about there? You said 2 straight lines coming from the large rock? I don't know if you're talking about these here, right on the right-hand side of it. Like I said, that's not even, I mean, this alone, come on. How does anybody see that's natural? Even if it was in the rawest form, meaning, let's say there's a civilization on Mars and they built nothing but with stone. That doesn't mean they weren't technologically advanced. We still have bricks in our buildings. Not much difference. But when you look at that, I go, listen, even the most skeptical person has got to say, that is not natural. Come on. I can see one 90-degree angle, and then inside here, excuse me, inside here, you've got a cutout. It looks like a U-shaped cutout. So there'd be 2 90-degree angles there as well. You've got the bottom of the rock. Of course, it's really kind of broken apart and everything, but here up here, 90-degree corners on each of these corners of the inside block. I mean, there's so many 90-degree angles just in that area alone, because I don't want to say rock. Now, is it possible through the years, and I don't think it's been that many years, people differ on that, but I don't think it's that many years, you get moisture, dust, of course it sticks to it, and it just becomes like, looks like part of the ground. And it's just kind of like, in other words, it ends up turning up looking like it. It's possible. I don't think that's the case because I see the way they manipulate these. If you guys look, there's actually a round circle on this left piece of this right here. Check this out. Of course, it's going to fall apart there. I'm doing it right here. I put it right in the middle of the photo, or the video. Well, screen. Let's call it screen. Right there. Right there. There's a circle right there. And like I said, there's this line coming down. Almost looks like the shape of a spoon. And you can see the way it kind of branches off right here at the top. You can see that. I just noticed this may actually be sticking out right here, this piece. Actually it is, because you can see it right here in the shadow. So you get this piece and you get this piece sticking straight out. Again, the shadow echoes that. So that's telling me it could be stone. I've seen jagged stones do that. Or it's a piece of metal and they've doctored it up to look like it's a piece of rock. But like I said, even the most hardest skeptic is going to look at it and go, okay, that doesn't look natural. Exactly, third eye open. That's what basically I was getting at. I mean, is it possible it's fossilized in a sense, right? Or it's just completely covered with sand and everything ends up weathered? It's a very good possibility. But like I said, I mean, you don't have to show anything. Let's say this is my very first video I just decided to do. Oh, you know, I'm going to make a video today. Anybody, like I said, hardcore skeptic is going to go, that's natural? I don't believe that. You don't even have to say this thing's even doctored up at all. We don't even have to look at the fake, you know, sand right here in the middle of the screen. We don't even have to do that. we can just see that. And like I said, I wish I could get in closer with this thing, but this zoom feature won't work on this, or this right here will not work on that for some reason. I don't know why. But regardless, you can see it right there, airbrushed, and it goes straight across right there. It's crazy. And like I said, you guys will get the photo here. As soon as this thing ends, I'll just drop the link. I don't know if you guys want the links to the other tabs that I showed you. If you do, just say yes, and I'll go ahead and drop them. But this one here definitely will get dropped, because I want you guys to see this for yourself. The manipulation that's in here is crazy. There you go, Oliver Klein. National Airbrush State Agency, NASA. Sounds about right, too. John Sharp was saying, wow, I see the spoon. It really does look like it's shaped like that. Father's Back Lodge Rock. I don't know if you're talking about this one here. See how all this has been completely blurred out and just, of course it may be because it's further back in the photo. We are going to get, you know, really, it's going to get really lousy as far as details. I get that. But according to NASA, they Z-stack everything. So the front of the photo will be clear, middle of the photo, and the background will be clear. But yet, not this time. No, we decided not to do that. We figured we'd stop right there. This almost looks like a set of steps right here. These stepping stones kind of thing. Right here. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is, because obviously you can have layers of stone, right? Oops. Jerry Lehane, you said the smudges that the cam shoots right through are the people standing or animals crawling up 20 to 100 feet from the rover. See, again, I mean, I've never seen anything that had like people or animals. Some things I have seen that were kind of weird and kind of actually looked like some kind of animal, or and I've done one that was looked like a bird. It looked like a white bird on a ledge. It could have been anything, but it kind of looked like that shape of one, right? Looked like some kind of little dead animal or something on the ledge on this rock. Now, whether it was or not, again, like I said, folks, you know, you can't prove any of this. You can't vet any of it. Let me see. Somebody just said something. Kyle, you said that if you think that is natural, you have blinders on to the world. You cannot see the forest through the trees. I agree. Totally agree. Bruce Myers, you said, I guess you are not addressing the other facts that have already been proved that we have been visited millions of years ago. Well, I mean, even if we just go by simple stuff like the ancient civilizations where they talked about that, the book of Ezekiel, there's so much to talk about. You can say that these UFOs have been around for years. And again, my argument was this. Again, if these aliens are really evil and they want to take over the planet or just want to kill us because they think we're parasites, could have done it a long time ago. It's like I said, you know, I use the analogy, if you were an octagon fighter and you're in there with a really good opponent and somehow you come out with a spinning back kick and boom, and stun him and he starts, whoa, he's dazing like he's going to fall down. Do you wait and say, I'll just let him compose himself so we can get back into this fight? No, it's time for ground and pound. You're going to take him down quickly, boom, and take him out. Why would they wait till we get technologically advanced? Why not do it back in the day when we were sitting here with little hammers and chisels? Why would you wait? It simply doesn't make any sense. This is when you would have took the planet off. You just wiped it. That would have been the better way to do it. Now, we can argue the fact, we can say, well, maybe they didn't find us until recently, meaning up to the last couple hundred years ago. But that's not true, according to the ancient civilizations. So we go back thousands of years ago. So, and the other thing is, too, let me backtrack. If Antarctica was, you know, the structures that are built there, if they do truly go back 96,000 years ago, then that kind of blows that theory right out of the water. And if it wasn't our structures, then clearly it was somebody else's. So we've been visited here a long, long time ago. And the planet may have been occupied by generations of, could have been us or somebody else, back thousands of years ago. Again, I don't think we truly know our true beginnings. I really don't think so. I don't think we know our origins. And I think that's being suppressed. Why? I don't know. Maybe they just think if you believe you're part of something much larger, you'll ask more questions. You want to know what's going on. So, you know, you try to wrestle with it, try to think of that. Okay, yeah, why would they do that? Well, like I said, if you suppress it from the people, you think you're the only ones here. You're so dainty. You're like one of a kind to ever exist in the universe, and this is it. We are the government. We are strongest. Don't worry, we got your back. Well, wait a minute. Now you look back in the 40s or the 50s where you had X amount of UFOs flying around the White House. Well, clearly we're not the most powerful. So when you start losing grips with that, they don't want that. They want you to believe us. We're the government. We're strongest. Obey. But if you found out they were just as weak as we are to the government, you know, of course we're not weak because we're many strong, right? But if you just say that, you go, okay, well, you know, if we knew there's other aliens out there, other beings, then they're much more powerful than our government, what would you do? And Josh D is saying, yeah, drop the other links too. Okay, we could do that. James, thank you for your support, sir. You said, Chris, this might sound a little bit bullish now, but how many times do we have to prove what is clear as a green traffic light or a red one in these pics? Well, exactly. Well, to me, it's not even proving it anymore, right? It's, you know, the reason why I'll bring that up every now and then too is that there are newcomers. And you want them to see their, like, this photo is completely obvious. You don't have to do a thing to it. You don't have to put it in Photoshop. You don't have to do a thing to it. Just this alone, what looks like that spoon-shaped thing on the top of this, how it's blended into this so-called rock, and the shape of this rock, okay? The newcomers can see that and say, you don't have to do anything to this photo, and you can see it looks like it's intelligently made, right? So sometimes you got to do that. I like doing that because there's a lot of people that need to be brought up to speed. There are still people joining the channel, which is awesome, and I think people should know about it, you know? Josh D, you said our ancient past has been structurally ignored by mainstream academics. It is sad that the evidence is everywhere. Yeah, and they're just not, again, they're just not showing who we truly are. And I just think that's really weird. I don't know why they would do that. To me, it just seems like, I think we'd actually, well, and this is probably the reason, we would actually come together as a human race and not fight with each other all the time. Because think about it. If you knew that you were the only planet ever to ever exist with life, this is the reason why we're fighting for resources. But what if, wait a minute, let's say for argument's sake, you can say, hey, we can go to the moon, we found oil. Well, there goes OPEC. There goes those countries like bleeding you for money for their oil. So yeah, we can't have that. So if you found out you were part of something much larger, maybe you wouldn't tend to fight as much. You'd be wanting to focus on what's at hand, which is our future. We'd probably come together more. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, folks? Let me see. Jay McGuffey said, in vast quantities have mysteriously throughout human history from El Dorado, Solomon, Egyptians, World War II, 9/11. Yep, here you go. Great question, Mosquito in your ears. He said, what if the Greeks didn't burn down the Egyptian libraries? Again, suppress knowledge. What were these other people, and of course they're terrorists as far as I'm concerned, were doing to these museums that had Sumerian statues in it? Defacing them, smashing them, just basically just having, because it didn't go with their religious beliefs. And not to mention, they're probably just thinking, oh, it's a bunch of horse crap, so let's just go ahead and just take them down. I'm sure it's more religiously driven, but that's not the point. Again, every time you turn around, something's being destroyed of our ancient past. or it's being taken and then concealed from our governments or by our governments. David Rains, it hasn't hit yet. It said the 30th or 31st, so tomorrow or Sunday. He said, what side of Earth did the sunspot hit? So it's supposed to hit tomorrow or, again, Sunday. So we'll see. Yeah, pretty much is, Jay. He said Fort Knox is empty. Yeah, but you can bet they have all the precious something or other besides gold. Because at the end of the day, last man standing, let's say there's a great catastrophe, what do? Well, it's a known fact that we have oil fields all over the United States capped. And yet we're getting it from other countries, spending big time money to get it from OPEC countries. Why would we do that? Oh, because if the other countries, if there's a major war that goes on, and they say, well, we're not giving you any oil. Doesn't matter. We got enough here back in our own home. And whoever has the most resources at the end of the day is the superpower. So that's what it comes down to. And, you know, it's who's got the most nukes, who's got the most resources, whether it's oil, whatever it may be, precious metals, doesn't matter. Because, you know, the almighty dollar ain't going to be worth the crap, just like anybody else's currency in any other country. But if you got a gold, if you got a bunch of gold or some really, well, something even better than that, precious metal, then you're king. That's as simple as that. Sean, what's going on? He said, hiya, Chris. Just joined tonight. How are you all? I'm doing fine, Sean. I hope you're doing good. Ricardo Petrozzi, here you go. Goldfinger Bond movie was Disclosure. There is no gold in Fort Knox. I remember seeing a documentary about that years ago when they were talking about how like gold is really diminishing. You know, we're using that to pay off other countries and so on and so forth. But if you think about it, we can always dig for gold. It's precious, you know, metals and stuff. And the thing about gold, right, is like we use it in everything. Electronics, you know, circuit boards. You know, when you get these gold traces on the board, those are gold. Best conductor. And you can use silver, but it's not as conductive. So gold is precious in many ways. It's not just, ooh, this is what it's worth when we pull it out of the ground per ounce. It's not even about that. It's about, hey, check this out. I can use it for just about anything. If I get an abundance of gold, I could still make a lot of stuff, especially anything to do with electronics, you know. Could be anything for weaponry, could be this, that, and the other. Could be anything. That could be too, Jay. You said probably lots of gold on Mars. Of course, this, you know, we'd just be speculating at that point. But I think it's got to do with technology and everything. They're just basically rummaging through an ancient civilization, or obviously a civilization has been blown to pieces. And that's what they're doing. Maybe they're saying, maybe they're uncovering and saying, how do these people die? Well, wait a minute. We're still finding radiation, you know, fallout in some of this stuff, or look at the technology that was built, or just the way they built structures. I mean, the list goes on. We don't know. We just have what we're seeing in these photos. And like I said, clearly, again, you don't even have to be some kind of conspiracy theorist. All you can do is look at that photo. It's right there. It's right there. If that looks natural, I'll eat this computer screen. I mean, it's just as simple as that, right? Billy, what's going on? What's happening? Thank you, sir, for your support. I appreciate you. It's good to see him around. Let me see here. Okay. I think it jumped on me right here. But, yeah. Billy Carson's in the hizoo. Oh, there you go. Everybody's talking to you there, Billy. Let's let's see. Graham Lanark, he said, the amount above right of this said rock features keep standing out to me like an ancient pyramid that's depleted like ours on Earth. Could be just me seeing it. I think you're talking about right here in the background between these rocks right there. That's supposed to be the mound that we were looking at before. I think this is. Now, I could be wrong because this thing's probably so low to the ground. And folks, this might be very small to begin with because we can back out of this and you can see the rover right here in the lower right corner, right? So let's do this. You can see the wheel, okay? This thing's not, I mean, you'd stand really big. This is not very big at all. That's the wheel itself. You can see the wheel and, of course, the motor to turn it and everything else. So this right here, keep in mind, I think the wheels, they said they were slightly bigger in the Perseverance, but I think they may be slightly wider. They put more treads on it so that the wheels don't get beat up as easy and torn to pieces. So they took apart the cutouts that said JPL and Morse code. They took that out, and now they got more fins on there, more tread, if you will, on these wheels. And I think they're still 20 inches in height. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. It wouldn't matter. You tower over these wheels. Okay, just walk over here. There they are. These things, I guarantee they're not more than 2-3 feet. And from right here, from the back of this all the way to the other edge of this, 2 to 3 feet. You can see that. You can literally go up there, and if you're strong enough and it's not that heavy, you can, check this out. Again, I'm going to back out. You could literally walk over there and just pick this thing up. It would just fit in your arms. You'd be just like this and carrying it. That's what you'd be doing. So this is not very big. Whatever these are remnants of what happened in this city, and this is what we're seeing. It's as simple as that. Pete Ferrero, he said, Mars, was colonized from minerals by a larger planet that had it as a moon. Well, that's what they say, that Mars was probably a moon of a bigger planet. Now, I'm not so sure that was true because this is actually a regular planet. It's kind of like our moon. We believe that was actually brought in, and it's not a natural satellite. It may be hollow inside. It may be half, maybe not, I don't know. But it seemed to me that it's at least hollowed out in some spots because you'll have lava flow tubes or ancient lava tubes. So you're going to have underground areas. They even said that some of these tubes could actually put a small city in. So you'll have these giant crevasses underneath like our surface of the Earth as well as the moon. So, but the moon, you can see it had, we're going to say a civilization, probably multiple civilizations on it. Probably used it as like a home base, and they would just come here and just mine whatever they needed off the Earth, as well as Mars. So I don't know. I mean, we can only speculate because we really don't truly know, but when you start putting the pieces together, you kind of figure this stuff out, right? Well, at least we can try to. Ricardo taking off? Okay, he said, I'm going to turn into the pumpkin if I stay up any later. Night, everyone. All right, Ricardo, thanks for being here, sir. Thank you for your support, as always. You rock, just like everybody else here. Yeah, have a good weekend. Have a good evening, too, you know. I don't know about you in your area, but it's supposed to be rainy and crappy all this weekend, so you know how that works. Just another exciting weekend. Although it's good to be off work, but you get the idea. It's still nice to be able to have the weekend off, even if it is complete crap outside. Adamas Enterprise says, love your work, Billy. Third Eye Open says, exactly, Chris. Yep. Jay McGuffey said, the truth will be stranger than anything Hollywood can muster. Yeah, I can only imagine just seeing the actual photos to this, uncensored, unmolested, just a true photo. I would love to be able to have somebody just like, okay, just like I said before, remember it was like somebody's disgruntled and said, I'm tired of this crap, I'm just going to send it, There'll be no way they could trace me when I send this photo to this guy. I'm going to send it to him. I'm going to give him the, like I said, completely raw photo. I think I'd be blown away and wouldn't know how to act. I'll be truthful with you. And I mean something that had some meat to it, like you can actually see structures plain as day. Maybe they're dilapidated, maybe they're completed, maybe meaning still complete. Maybe there's some kind of transportation vehicles or something, and you just go, what? Totally mind-blowing. And then if he says, like I said before, if he says, this is the one they're giving the public now, this is the real photo, I wouldn't care. Send it to me anonymously. I don't care. Anonymously, that's what I meant to say. Send it to me that way. I wouldn't care. Because, I mean, everybody wants to see this. So, people go, well, aren't you afraid of that, Chris? Aren't you afraid of getting locked up? Or, there's times where, and of course this may be something, you just think about because you're doing these videos, but there's times where I've seen this black helicopter. I know it's not like a TV station or whatever. Constantly was flying around my neighborhood. Now, was they just looking for somebody else who escaped? Good possibility. But it just kept going around, and it would just get closer to my house, and then it would just fly away and then come back. I'm going, it could have very well just been that. Or they're just going, okay, we know where he lives. But they can track that down just by, what do you call it? Just your ISP, right? Ricardo Pedrazi says, night, Chris. PayPal going to email you in a moment. I'll see you next week. All right, man. Appreciate you. You, again, have yourself a good night, and we'll see you soon there, right? Mike Knapp is in the house, too. All right. Maybe you like that, huh? Unmolested. Yeah, I mean, to me, they just really go to town on these photos, and they just really messed them up. Like I said, these, like the moon photos, completely sanitized and just gone over. And like I said, in the last video, you can see where, again, if you're looking down at something, you can see what looks like all these dots in a row. You can see structures from above. But as you start going like this and up on the moon, well, you're clearly going to start to see things standing up. This is the reason why you see all of this. It looks like some child put this together. It literally looks, and I called it like mashed potatoes. It sounds funny, but because it looks like that. It's just crap. It's completely covered over detail, and you can just tell it's non-real details. You can see that. Again, look at the foreground, look down, and there's the real stuff right there. And if you noticed, it was more highlighted than the rest of it. Why? Because this is closer to the camera, so let's do what we can to take it out. Blend it as much as possible, get rid of it. And that's what they set out to do. Jerry Lahane, you said the downside, I believe, is that we are missing the real underground living in dead cities. Well, that could very well be, because, I mean, even here, we've actually built underground as well, right? Now, it's not the norm, other than back in the indigenous Indians here, Pueblo Indians, so on and so forth, where they've built into hillsides and stuff like that. Really, really cool the way they dug it out. Really neat. And a lot of ancient civilizations did that. Like if you go back to that underground city in Turkey, where the guy was just like, they all built into the side of these mountains, and I got to make this a little bit bigger. Got a baby coming, breaks through a wall. There's a tunnel. Goes down to I think it was 10 or 20 levels. It goes down. There's air shafts going down right down to the bottom. They think there was they had livestock down there at one time, all kinds of water, a place to pray. I mean, you name it, they had it all down there. Like I said, it could handle 20,000 people. So they might have done this because of other, the wars and everything else to get out, from, they can't be seen if you're underground. You got a doorway as opposed to a whole city on top of the ground. So is it possible they just did that as the norm, meaning underground as well as above ground? Is the surface of Mars nothing more than a junkyard because they build themselves underground and that's where all the cities are, and they just put the stuff on top of the ground? But based on what we've seen in these photos, I'd say no, meaning not just underground. I believe it's both. So, but it's anyone's guess, and anyone's guess could be right, because again, there's no way that we can vet any of this. Great for all. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. He said, NASA's just protecting us. You're ruining everything, Chris. Well, and I'm glad I'm doing that. You know, like I said, back in the day, you would probably believe that actually, because you say, well, they're protecting us. So everybody, when when the very first radio program came out about War of the Worlds, where everybody's jumping off out of buildings and stuff like that in fear of that broadcast was real. They literally just, can you imagine that? You go, oh, honey, let's put on the radio. Now keep in mind, I don't think they had TV out yet. If they did, it was just coming out. But turn it on and, oh my God, they're coming after us. Oh my God, they're firing upon us. There's aliens everywhere. They're burning the buildings. You're thinking, oh my God. And, I don't know if you could, it's not like you could just pick up a regular phone. Hey guys, is this real? But on the other side of the token, I would go outside and go, I don't see anything. What are they talking about? And you think because they had shortwave back in the day, you had long wave, AM, and you had shortwave. Just turn the thing to a different channel. If you don't hear anybody else going, oh yeah, we're being attacked, why would you care? Say, oh, clearly it's a program, but I don't think they're just smart enough to figure that out back then. But back then, I would say you would be right. You'd probably be accurate. Now, come on. The only thing I can see people would be really nervous about is if you remember movies like Independence Day and things of that sort. James, thank you, sir. I do appreciate you. You said the only way to cover that moon pic, don't show it. Exactly. How many times have I told you guys, people go, well, if that's the case, if it's something in the photo, why even show it at all? Well, you can see how they've tried to go out of their way to cover it. This is proof in itself. Just one little photo. Proof in itself. That's not natural. And some people say, it's just normal rocks. What's this guy smoking? That's not a normal rock. Sorry. I don't believe that. Actually, I can tell you it's not. George Manning said, hi, Chris, and good night, and have a great weekend. All right, George, you do the same, man. I didn't even see you jump in there. My apologies, but, thanks for being here, as always, and even if you're just listening to the chat, it's awesome. So have a good weekend yourself, and be safe there, right? Anchor Point, yeah, you got a good point. He said 99.9% of the world think we are nuts. Yeah, but see, that's growing, that's changing. Because a lot of people now, because they've taken polls, they said, do you think UFOs are real? And now, of course, here's the thing. If the Pentagon makes this more mainstream, then people again get desensitized. People go, oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, the UFOs over there, and then there was some over there, and then some over there. Oh well, just humdrum kind of day. That's what I'm getting at. So people get used to it, so now they can start feeding you more. But I think they have to worry about the next step, because the next step is going to say, what could you possibly say other than, oh, one of them just attacked this country? Then I think people would be unfair. But again, people would have to do their research. Don't frickin' lose your minds over it. Because the first thing I'd do is this is no word of a lie. If I heard another country is being bombed, I'd flip on my shortwave and I'd listen. I'd tune right into that area. Boom. Okay, let's see what's going on. I don't hear anything. It's bull. So it's being, it's being made up by our government to try to put fear into the people. Just start listening to the airways, not to rap and garbage that doesn't make any sense. Listen to the actual news. This is the reason why everybody, if you ever there's a great catastrophe, you need to have a bug out bag. It's the first thing you do. Have a shortwave radio. Because they will, even if you don't get your regular news, you can bet somebody's transmitting around the world somewhere. Even if it's a ham operator, you'll hear something. Josh D said, I'm going to bed so I can rerun Game 3 World Series tomorrow. I'll dream of solid structural nuts and bolts swamp gas. There you go. The swamp gas is always heavy, though, with those, like I said, the steel, those nuts and bolts and stuff. I hate when that happens. Anyway, Josh D, have yourself a good one, brother. Appreciate you being here. Jerry Lane, the one-eyed man is king in the land of the blinders. Oh, yeah. Jay, you're not the first one who's ever said that. I've heard this time and time again. You said, I'm surprised NASA hasn't offered you a job doctoring these shots quests. Or how about a proof viewer? You say, okay, yeah, we just did these photos. Here, see if you can find anything in there. Then if you do, you go, well, I see this in here, and I see that. Okay, that goes off to another smaller department. Okay, we'll just go ahead and doctor that. Okay, move it on to the public. Yeah, I mean, what's the worst going to happen? I can take a picture of an actual authentic photo without it being messed with and give it to the public? What could possibly happen? What could possibly go wrong? Let's see. Yeah, Sky Chiropractor just got his back snapped. He'll be all right. Seizure. Would love to see you on GoofOn or Get Rich on your channel and review some images together. Would be good, man. Well, like I said, I heard him talking about it last night. He had done like a couple-minute video on my latest moon video, and of course some of Jean's as well. And a couple of the folks said, "Oh, you ought to have Chris on there." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll get him on here." You know, like I said, Rich seems down to earth. He seems like a lot like me, where, you know, you want to be skeptical and open-minded at the same time, which they don't usually go together. But you know, you don't have to be over-skeptical, but you don't have to be open-minded like overly, because then you believe everything, right? So that's why I tell people that come to your own conclusions, man. Make your own decisions. But like a lot of you folks do, you actually get into these photos and analyze them. That's what's awesome. I give you guys kudos and a pat on the back for that, because most people just go, oh, just listen to what this uploader says, because they swear it's etched in stone. No, it's not. All I can say is, now this, to me, when I look at this, I go, unnatural. And I don't think anybody here would disagree with that, because I can see that. Now, some things are really questionable. They're 50-50. Some people might say, I see it as a rock. Okay, that's your opinion. You know what I mean? I'm not here to cram it down anybody's throat. I'm not here to say, oh, you have to believe what I said. No, I'm just taking the photos, just looking at these things and digging out some of the stuff that's being buried in here, or like this one, you don't really have to do that, and come to your own conclusions. That's pretty much what we do here. Thing jumped at me. I'm trying to figure out who was. Yeah, you're right. He said, if there's nothing to hide, why are the images manipulated for both the moon and Mars? Absolutely. And I tell people that the best way, because they'll say, one guy had asked me, is there any way that you can do a step-by-step way that, you know, you can show the people how you come up with these photos? Now, I've done this in the past, way too time consuming. And I go, listen, I want to just get to the point and show all the things I find in the photo. Now, a lot of times I'll show you the steps that are just click, 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 and show you how I brought them out. And a lot of times I'll tell you how I brought them out. But to do step by step, no, it's almost impossible. Some things you really don't have to do a whole lot to. And then some things, it takes a lot of work to get these things out. And most of it is to get the lines out of the photo and blast through a lot of this blurring and this garbage that's here. Yeah, it takes a lot. It's not that easy. Frank Davino, he said, I'm new here. Well, welcome, Frank. Hope you subscribed. What's wrong with those rocks? Exactly. Are they rocks, or are they made to look like rocks? Especially this one here on the left. You seeing something natural, or are you seeing something that could be intelligently made? That's the real question. And of course, there's really no right and wrong answer, but some of the things are really obvious, and you know, and you can pretty peg that out, right? General Meow, he said, I bet in some areas of Mars it rains and NASA covers up the video. Well, I mean, they had one that looked like ice pellets, and they were on the actual side of the rover because they had the camera facing there, and you see what looked like ice pellets all over it. So it does actually have, well, at least the Curiosity is in Gale Crater, and they have said multiple times that it does have an actual water cycle in Gale Crater. So, and that's not a secret, that's absolutely true. Look at these rocks. I'll just go ahead and touch these rocks here. Hold on. Oh, yeah, they're pretty heavy. Oh. Jerry Lane, the doctoring lab, NASA military joystick heads. Sounds about right, though. General Meow, he said, I'm convinced there are cats on Mars. I don't know about cats, but you can almost bet there's some living things, whether it's insects, other things creeping on the ground. Again, I mean, and as crazy as that may sound to some people, it's like, okay, we know for a fact that, you know, when the InSight lander landed, we already know this, where its first picture had a bunch of specks of dust or whatever on the lens, and it was a blue sky. Not long after, all red, just like this, a pukey, orangey, reddish crap. Doesn't make any sense. How did it go from, and then it said it was the lens cover. Wait a minute, which one was the lens cover? Was the one with the red or the one that had the true colors? It was, you know, because they said it was the dust was on the lens. Wait a minute. You just showed a true colored photo with the blue sky, which had it on the lens. And now you're showing it all red like this, or orange, tannish, whatever, call it what you will. And it still has the specks on it. Which one has the lens? Well, we already know what the real photo is. Like I said, even the people at NASA, you know, in that control room are going, wow, blue sky, what the heck? Wow. They were literally surprised. And yet, there it is. Blue skies. Wait a minute. Okay, so we got that part because they said there was no blue skies. There's a water cycle in Gale Crater, and I'm sure there's some in other places. I'm sure of that. There's brine under the dirt. And if you and here's the thing. If you take salt water and you put it through different filtering of sand, and it can be right from the very, kind of like your filters today, where they're like you get down to like a real fine sand to a charcoal to this, that, and the other different filters, it'll come out non-salt. Pretty much non-salted water. So is it all brine on Mars? I don't think so. Exactly, Kyle. You said to have ice pellets, there must be oxygen. Well, they claim they're not. There isn't. Jonathan Waddell. Chris, thank you for all you do. Good night, all. I hope everyone has a good weekend and week. You do the same, Jonathan. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate your support and just having a good time with us. Have a good one. Be safe. John Wilson said, my comments being blocked. Not that I know of. Let me go up here a little bit. Maybe I jumped over them. Because like I said, this thing would jump. If I just scroll down carefully with the wheel, sometimes it'll jump right down on me. Actually, many times it does. No, I'm seeing James Cragen. I'm going way back. I'm not. There's James again. Yeah, I'm not seeing him. Go ahead and put another comment down. I don't know why that would be. Was it you just said that? Yeah, okay. So I'm seeing them now. John Wilson, you said there are millions of people living on Mars deep underground who originally came from Earth 100,000 years ago. Well, we don't know if it's the other way around because they also have the theory of panspermia where Mars took a great hit and then, of course, all the ejecta came out into space. It made its way to Earth, and this is how life started here. And if there was life on that planet, this is the reason why we got a lot of things, maybe similarities. Maybe there was life, we were the life on Mars, because some scientists believe we are the Martians, and that when they had the catastrophic event and they knew about it and they had gift of flight, meaning space flight, they came here. Of course, the planet got killed off and we had to start all over here. I don't know. Pure speculation, but you know, when you read about this stuff, you just go, what is going on here? But you have to put the puzzle pieces together and it just like, you know, try to figure this stuff out. There you go, James. He said, thanks by the way. He said, Chris, you always take everyone's opinions on board. We know that, man. So here's mine again, but I won't entertain the doubters anymore because I can't lie. Well, yeah, and that's pretty much it, right? Mars leaks. She said, isn't it supposed to be a big problem with dust storms on Mars? How many storms have Curiosity encountered during its 10 years on Mars? One. I mean, they've had dusty storms and stuff of that sort, but it's not going to affect Curiosity like it would the solar-powered vehicles, where Curiosity and Perseverance are nuclear-powered. So, big difference, right? But even with the solar-powered ones, you know, they had one that was like completely buried, and all of a sudden, when I say buried, meaning dust all over the panels, and they have an electrostatic charge that can apply to the skin of these solar panels and pretty much throw the dust off. But they said the storm was so bad, it pretty much made it inoperable. And of course, the batteries got weaker, and now it's completely dead. I would say this. I would say if they had another windstorm, because the batteries ain't junk. You know, a lot of times this rover will go into hibernation, so to speak, and it'll shut down everything and just keep the battery. But the battery will die to a certain degree. But it's kind of like a solar setup, like my solar setup I have here. Once it drops down to a certain amount, it'll shut everything off. So it'll just cut you right off. So to protect the battery from completely being killed. Now, if it's set up that same way, let's say the battery can last for a long time. There's nothing draining off of it. And if it's lithium, right, or something equivalent to, then okay, so the storm blows it back off, it starts to recharge again, boom, it's functioning again. And something tells me these things aren't completely dead either. I think they just said, we're not going to tell the public about this. We got other upcoming, you know, rovers, so we'll just make this one look like it's, you know, it's completely dead, so we don't have to tell the public about it anymore. That's what I think happened. What do you guys think? Let's see. What's going on, Mike Knapp? Good to see you there, brother. I don't know if I seen you in there earlier. Max K, you said, I remember a few years ago when you did the post with Jean and a few others, they said it could be the camera. You disputed that. You were right. Well, yeah, I mean, that they're not, you know, it's not actual natural. So when you see these things, you're like, okay, let me see something. I don't know if I can zoom into this part, but if I do, I can't. I was looking at this other piece here. I don't know if you guys have seen this. See, it's starting to really break apart. Right there, there's some weird, funky shape right there. Not to mention all of this, look at this, you can see these lines, but it looks like they really went over this thing to block stuff out. See that in the back here? You can see these faint lines right here. Little square, rectangles, all this stuff right here. You guys see that? I don't know if I can go in anymore. That's as far as I can go in. Lee Herring, what's going on, man? He said, hey guys, it's like a hurricane where I am. Hope all are doing well. I hope you're doing well too then. If you're in, what are you, down south or where you at? I know they had some major stuff going on, was it Louisiana and stuff like that. Basically getting their butts handed to them. So I hope everything, if you're down that area, I hope you're safe. And you're being careful there. Oh, yeah, that's fine, Mike. You said I was late tonight. Well, it's always good to see anyway, regardless, right? Oh, Crazy Kayla, what's going on? He said, haven't attended a live in a long time. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Well, same back at you, man. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're doing well as well. Seems like you are, because you are here, right? Hope you're doing well. Oh, Julie, you're too kind. Somebody just said Julia, so I said, Julia's in here? Must have jumped right in there when this thing jumped over you. He said, know of no other channel or host who is honest and prolific, a live host and video content creator as my sweet Mars man. You're the best. F the rest. I'm assuming that's what you were saying. But yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. I know you got a lot on your plate. You've been really busy bouncing and doing some other things. So I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing really good. Nobody wants to see anybody like not doing well. It's not good, right? But yeah, glad you're here. Let me see. Again, this thing just jumped. I had to go backtrack, which was not that far up, which is good. Yeah, you also said, Julia said, it looks like an obfuscated foundation in ruins. Yeah, I mean, you know, I just told everybody, like, well, not everybody, because everybody here knows this, but even the hardest skeptic would look at this and say, okay, clearly that's not natural, this rock right here to the slightly to the left of center. There's no way. And I was just showing everybody, it looks like this weird kind of spoon type thing. Has this long handle. It's made to be the same color as the texture of this rest of this so-called rock. And there's a small round circle. It almost looks like a circle here, right there. This is sticking out. At first I didn't think so. It depends on how you look at it. But when you look at the ground, there's in fact a shadow sticking out of the rest of this right there. So clearly this is sticking out. And again, the shadow echoes it, but right there. Looks like a handle, and here's the fattest part of the spoon. Now, I'm not saying that's what is the shape of one. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the hardcore skeptic, you don't have to do a thing to this photo. Forget about Photoshop. Look at this. You know. Lisandro Perez, Jr. Love your channel. What inspired you to do the channel you did? Well, a couple little things. I've seen other people doing it. I was already looking over the moon photos long before I started doing these, and I started doing some of the Mars photos as well, because first, well, I shouldn't say that, well, yeah, because the first rover was in '97, the Sojourner rover. So there was Martian photos, and there wasn't too many others. Like if you looked at the Viking lander, very few photos, wasn't a ton. And even the Viking orbiters, they didn't give you a whole lot to play with, and if it was so low res that you couldn't do anything. So I got on YouTube and I just started looking it over and looked at channels that were doing the same thing I had interest in, which is like these Martian photos. So just one day it just clicked on me. I said, these guys are leaving out so much stuff. And it's not that it's that fault, because they were still bringing out these crazy rocks like these, right? But they didn't know at the time that these things were actually being obfuscated. They just thought maybe it's encrusted, which this could be, right? But the more I got into it, the more I seen, and then, like I said, it kind of matched what I was seeing in the moon photos. I said, you know what? Let's make a channel. So now we got like 3 or 4 channels now. So, and this is the reason why I do what I do, because it's a hobby for mine. It's good to find these things. Like I said, I always use the analogy, it's like a Cracker Jack box. You just don't know what you're going to find in these photos. And like I said, the next few ones I got coming up, they'll probably be, it's almost the same solve, but they're going to be different segments of it. And some of the crazy things that are in there, no way. No way is this stuff rocks. A lot of this stuff looks like it's buried, and of course a lot of it's being covered, so yeah. Richard Bunt, you said a mechanical warrior, or mech warrior, 5 war on Mars. Warrior 5 rather, war on Mars, yeah. Well, something happened there, and it wasn't just a natural event, if you will. And again, you know, when you put these together, when you got these 2 large explosions in orbit on Mars, and it's like low orbit on Mars, and it literally causes a catastrophic event, and it's big enough, it'll definitely decimate an area on the ground for miles upon miles, and of course, pretty much rip apart or rip away the actual atmosphere. We could do that here on this planet. We could do that with ease. James Craigie said, Chris, quickly, if I may, would bet my life that with Facebook changing their name soon and terms and conditions with it, and new laws on censoring supposed hate and free speech, we are in the firing line. Well, yeah, I mean, there's so many people. It's like, well, like Dave from Mars X3D has been affected by it, where they pretty much stifled him. And he's not the only channel, I mean, of course, or page, excuse me. There's many others that are being stifled. It's like, wait a minute, whatever happened to free speech, man? Stop. Now, I can understand some people that are posting things that are harmful, whether it's something that, you know, younger adults shouldn't be seeing or whatever it may be. I get that. And if it's nothing but violence and stuff, they're trying to suppress that part. But Mars photos? It's ridiculous. It truly is. L, that's a great question. You said, what's the craziest thing you've seen in your opinion? Oh, man. I don't know. There's so much I've seen. And we had just shown that photo not long ago. In fact, in the last video, the last live feed we just did, where I showed an opportunity photo, and what it showed was that it was actually inside a crater. And when you look at the photo, it looks like vehicles like we would have here on Earth. Now, are they? I don't know. But everybody I've shown it to, they said, looks like some kind of vehicle. But that's not the only one. There's more in there. There's some more on the hillside, and some other weird couple little other pieces. But I've seen like things on the moon. We just did moon videos. I just did one. In fact, it was the only one I could get out this week because I was busy this week. But crazy, crazy stuff where you can see the structures on the surface. It's like, you know, again, I tell people we're part of something much larger. It isn't just us. And, you know, there's so many things you can find in these photos. I mean, again, this photo right here, what kind of rock forms like that naturally? There's so many 90-degree angles just in that right there alone? No. Not natural. Julia talking to Lee Herring. Sarah loved you all so much. She was crazy about all of you. She was a lady, Chris. I just came here for the free wine. Chris, I just came here for the free wine. Kidding, of course. I love you all. we love you too. That's funny. Get that verbal wine. Drink it down. Mark Daniels said, I had the same photo up on my computer at the time. I had two co-workers' attention. I decided to do an experiment. Showed them the picture and then zoomed in on an angle rock. They failed the test. Aha. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do. Especially when it's so obvious. I mean, it's right there, right? Max K said, Chris, at first I was scared to show in case I was deemed a tinfoil hat. But I share everything now. You all do the same. Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to get people that just go, rock. I mean, it's just the way it is, right? It comes with the territory. That's never bothered me. I mean, maybe in the beginning it did, but I don't care. You know, there's always going to be people that just see rock. And, like, they can say, this is a rock. Okay, but look at the way it's formed or shaped. Again, how many 90-degree angles can you see in this right now? Just that so-called rock alone. Come on. Yeah, never be afraid of that. Speak your mind, especially here, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, we're all the same kind of mindset because we all believe there's much more going on than what the public's being told, you know? Julia talking to James, he said, who the F is that creepy chiropractor F? And what's his beef? Well, like I said, chiropractor just got his ass snapped in half after I got rid of him. So, yeah. Bye, 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 bye. Yeah. You'll get those every now and then. It happens. Get these clowns that come in. Jesse Lee, the rock looks like some kind of a dog or some kind of animal. Yeah, you're talking about this one in the back right here in the middle now, because it does have that kind of weird shape to it. But if you zoom into that, again, you can see the straight piece. I can see what looks like a kind of an arch type thing, like it's like a semi-round part here, but look underneath, there's a space. You can see the other rock between it, what looks like a straight piece of something or other coming out of there. And when you look at just this alone, you have a square shadow, which means this was probably pretty wide at the top, and it's showing it like a straight edge. You can see the actual straight edges right here on the shadow. So sometimes if the object doesn't tell all, the shadow does. The shadow knows. James, you said, Chris, we are just telling the truth. That's all you can do. Nope. Just tell the truth. Tell it like it is. Cartoon Mark says, hi, guys. Definitely something going on in these photos. Oh, yeah. If it isn't just completely obvious like that, then there's other obvious stuff. It's all over the place. Terry Kelling said, how do you know that there was 2 nuke explosions on Mars? Because it was investigated. First, we had the Maven spacecraft actually go into the lower atmosphere. It could sniff it out. And so couldn't the actual Curiosity rover. It knew it was there. So then, guys, help me out with this. I'm trying to remember his name. There was an actual book written by him. Dr. What was his name, guys? You guys will tell me. I'm drawing a blank here. Where he actually was a scientist, or not astrophysicist, but physicist, where after they took this information down, meaning once they got it back, he analyzed it, and it was like xenon-29. There was all kinds of these, like basically chemical, like a composition of chemicals that only are related to like what we have here on Earth. In other words, when we set off atom bombs, nuclear bombs, everything else, there's like a signature to that. And what they found was that signature that says that this was actually intelligently made, these explosions, not something that just happened on the planet. So once they did that and they analyzed it more, now of course there's a huge discussion about that, and that's what they believe. Well, a lot of people believe that that was the end result of what happened to Mars, not something like a rock or an asteroid or a comet or something like of that sort, right? James Cragen says, let's not forget that they never stopped going up. Oh, yeah. Like I said, if they'd done it to the moon, you know they kept going with it, right? I haven't really seen any, Julia. You said any good material come from the helicopter. I mean, I've seen a couple photos, folks. You've seen it too. Like, you're just seeing shadows on the ground. Like, that's supposed to be impressive. I know they had some issues with it not long ago, but now I think it's back on track. And I still say, my argument is still, if the Mars is so much further away, then how is it getting enough sun in that little solar panel that big to recharge that helicopter? So this is the reason why I don't believe that's the case at all. I believe it's either powered by something else, which it can't be something nuclear unless it's so minute and miniature that they could do that, because this thing's not very big. I think the body's like, I forget exactly the dimensions of it, but it's a square. Got cameras at the bottom, or camera. There's one at the bottom, and of course it's probably like about this big. It's just a cube. I can't imagine, unless it's miniaturized, that it's got some kind of decaying nuclear source built into it. But I find it hard to believe that they can, again, a solar panel about that big is going to recharge that copter in order for it to take off. So the other argument is, don't they need at least a couple down days if they drain that battery? If the sun is that weak, wouldn't it mean it can only fly at night? Get charged during the day, fly at night, or just wait a couple days and then fly again? Which may be the way they're doing it, and it would make sense. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of shadow photos from that thing. I don't know what you guys are seeing. You guys see anything that's worth the crap as far as the helicopter ingenuity? Well, call it what you will. It's helicopter, basically. Thank you, Dr. John Brandenburg. He's got books about Mars, but look him up and you can see it. And he actually describes that, where he's actually taken the information that was brought back from Mars, and I think it was from the Curiosity as well as, I think it was the Maven spacecraft. I could be wrong because there's several of them that went into the low orbit. But what I find interesting is that the Curiosity rover is quite a distance, quite south of, the Cydonia region with the face of Cydonia and stuff like that. It's quite south from there, and yet it still registered it. That's crazy. And even if it didn't, it was just a spacecraft, or basically spacecraft. Even if it was just a spacecraft, that's enough to say, what? And again, the composition of this explosion that it found is basically they're nukes. So how did that happen? Chairman Meow, he said, Saturn's hexagon blew my mind. Yeah, that's interesting. And it's been going on for as long as we've been looking at the stars. So really, what is it? I heard about that, Michael. You said, Chris, well, your question was, Chris, did you see the footage of massive explosion on Jupiter? Yeah, something actually hit it. I don't know if it was a meteor or something, but if Jupiter is gas, how can a rock smash into gas, and how big is an explosion that we see it from here? And how big was the explosion that we see from here? More evidence that all planets are solid. Unless it was something, I don't know how it would do that, but the composition of that rock going into the gas ignited it, but wouldn't it ignite all the gas? Yeah, it's kind of weird. And like I said, at some point, I don't care what anybody says, when you say, ooh, gas planet, okay, but there has to be a core to it, keeping it there. The gas is there. There has to be something. There's got to be something solid to that planet at some point. Getting down, even if it's just a core, just sitting there and everything else is surrounding it. Still something solid there regardless. But yeah, if you're seeing on the outside of Jupiter, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Julie said, great reply, thank you. I have a lot of questions for NASA myself, but I walk a fine line between my work, Sontag and his gaggle, and the denier's nasty emails. Pass the wine. No doubt. Sometimes you just see these people and you go, all right, just hand it over. Just give me the bottle. Heck with the glass. Just drink it down, right? But you get that. It just comes with the territory. You know that by now. I mean, there's so many people that love you, that the work you've done, what Sarah has done, and this is always your family, you know that. And, you're going to get the people that are jerks, shitbags, you name it. And there's nothing you can do about that. And everybody here, I'm sure, encountered some of these people at one time. Like maybe you commented on somebody else's channel and everybody jumped on top of you. Maybe it was a social site and they jumped in, oh, you tinfoiling, hat-wearing piece of, that's just people that are closed-minded. And I'm not saying people that are not critical thinkers. I'm just saying that they're not seeing the real picture for what it is. Again, I don't have to do a thing. I don't even have to drag this into Photoshop, and I could tell that's not natural. I mean, it's not like going, oh yeah, I kind of see it looks like squid. No, there's angles all over that thing. The fact that they even left that in there tells me it's like they're trying to do a slow disclosure, or they're trying to get a consensus. Think about it. If you are a person working for NASA and there's channels, X amount of channels that are doing this work, what do? Well, maybe there's like a group of people that just go on, okay, I'm going to monitor this channel, this guy's going to, okay, we're going to see what the consensus is, what people think about this. Okay, mostly positive about it. Okay, well, I got a couple negatives saying, I think they're all rocks, okay. But we're just into people, what their real thoughts are, and the majority would say, that's not natural. So what do? Okay, we know where we stand here. Here's basically our poll. We know what we see. Most people are in favor of what that really is, meaning natural or unnatural. So we know where we stand, and so on and so forth. So we don't know. Maybe we are just pawns for these guys, and we're just learning. You know what I mean? General Meow says Jupiter is not a gas planet. They are lying. Well, I think they are too, to be honest with you. I think they're full of crap. And I think there's a lot of things about this planet that is full of crap what they're sharing. I think they're what they're telling us anyway, right? Jupiter has large discotheques. Well, what was it, 70s? Getting down now. But yeah. That could be too, Phil. You made a great point. You said maybe it's an immense pressure of gas crushed it instantly, causing the explosion. That could be. But that'd be a heck of a dense atmosphere. Woof. Mike Nabby said, seen a program def a core or something there. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. There's definitely something got to hold that gas even there. No way around it. It's not just this nuclei just sitting there and everything's just revolving around it. I mean, there's got to be some kind of core, even if it's a burned out core, and it's just there. It's something, it's got gravity enough to hold it there, right? Pretty much, Anchor Point. You're right about that. You said, Chris, the problem is people's own mental jail. They won't accept to see what they see. I know people have literally looked at and they're kind of looking at it, because you can, right off the bat, if you said, this one right here in the middle of the screen, it's a square rock, or rectangular rock, or this one here looks oval. Okay. And I would say, yeah, there's a good chance that's actually a rock. I don't believe that they are, but let's say that they are. I look to the left and I say, okay, clearly that's not a rock. It's like you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, right? Anchor Point, you were talking to David Vaught, he said 250 to 500 million years based on the isotopes. See, I don't think that's true, because here's the thing. Here's what I have a problem with. When you talk about like any nuclear accident here on Earth, 3 Mile Island, places like that, you can literally go there now. And this is after how many years? Let's say 30 years? Even if you were to go back 45 years, it's pretty much diminished where you can literally go walk around there. Now, is it so densely like in the ground and on the materials that it's going to take a lot longer? I don't believe we're talking about millions of years here. I'm thinking we're talking years. And if we were to say, go back, because I heard stories like it could have been back in early, 2000s, well, here, but based on what we're seeing in here, there's no way these things have been laying around on the surface for that long. There is a water cycle, keep in mind. So unless everything's made out of pure stainless steel, I don't see how it can survive. And, being wind torn, even a 300 mile an hour wind on Mars is basically around 50 to 60 miles an hour here on Earth, which is still, I wouldn't want to be pummeled by fine, rocks and sand to the face. Just stick your hand in it. You ever worked a sandblaster? I have. Now, obviously, if you stick your hand in a sandblaster, it's going to hurt like hell. It's going to peel your skin right off. Well, picture this happening over 250 to 500 million years. Come on now. No way. I don't believe that for a moment. Now, and it would have dissipated by now. There's no way. And especially a lot of this would just, even if it settled to the ground, everything being ripped off the Mars would have just took most of that with it. I would think, anyway. What do you guys think about that? Am I wrong on that, or do you believe I'm right? What's your take on it? Jan McGuffey said it's taken 5,000 years for us to get a fraction of the tech and know-how of our gods. What do we do with it will be key. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Are we going to do nothing but wrong with it, or are we going to do something else with it? Meaning, are we going to use it for productive uses? Meaning we're going to, go forward? What? Anchor point. You said, Chris, the your point on isotopes is correct. The state of the ruins don't go with the timetable. I don't think they do. I don't see that at all. Julia, you said there is something suspicious about that photo. The atmosphere about 30 miles, 50 kilometers, and below this there is a 13,000 mile or 21,000 kilometer thick layer of hydrogen and helium. How? Well, that's what you got to question. It's like, wait a minute, why am I hearing this and then I'm hearing this? And that's where you got to try to, once you get caught up on that question, you can't answer it. What do? Research. So that's what I do. I just go, okay, that's puzzling. Let me check this out. And then I'll look at that, okay, most of the people are saying this, whether it's peer-reviewed or not. You're looking at it going, okay, this doesn't make sense. But wait a minute, this makes more sense because collectively these people are saying this. So that's what I'd go by. Yeah, some of it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Mars League, she said, most findings on Mars doesn't look that old. Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, it is, Jay. He said sandblasting is highly therapeutic. Oh, yeah. David Boyd. Well, I just typed up Brandenburg said, that's all. Just a messenger here. No, you're fine. Because I think I read something along them lines too, and I'm just like, I don't believe that's true. And again, if we go by what we're seeing in these photos, again, I can understand the complete devastation due to these, but why is the spacecraft still sniffing out this even now if it was that many millions of years ago? I don't believe that's the case. The time frames really suck, and it doesn't add up at all. Phil Cox, he said, only found out a few days ago that the Big Bang Theory was only first proposed in the 1920s by a Belgian priest. I heard about that too. This is what I don't get. There's many scientists out there that said, what if the universe just always was? People go, well, I can't go with that answer. That doesn't make any sense. And it's like, why doesn't it? Just because we don't understand its origin doesn't mean we should just throw anything at it and hope it works. I don't believe that. I believe that, yeah, let's keep digging. Now, science isn't stupid, right? They're just, for the best, from what they gathered, this is the best theory, and this is the best, knowledge that we have of what's going on. So therefore, this is the current belief or studies, and this is what we come up with. That doesn't mean it won't change. Science is always ever changing. So, but some people are saying, I don't even believe, some scientists are getting to the point where they're saying, we don't even believe the Big Bang. They're just, because they're seeing the universe expanding, they're thinking, well, there had to have been like a pebble in the pond kind of thing where it, boom, and just spread out. But how do we know it's not spreading out in different directions? And you know what I mean? Because you get this red drift going on. How do you know it's not going out in different, maybe the same direction or going opposite direction at some point? I mean, unless they've checked that as well, good possibility. But I don't know. Interesting. Joe Night Fury, you said, looking at the photo and me growing up in an agricultural area, that looks like a dried up irrigation channel. Yeah, pretty interesting, yeah. If you got this kind of cutout right here, the square cutout with the water coming through it, maybe it's some kind of, Martian fountain. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, but how do we know? It could have been anything simplistic. It could have been a piece of machinery dressed up to look like a rock. I don't know. Here's the thing. They don't care that you see these kind of weird things as long as you don't see what it really is. Because let's say, for argument's sake, they made a mistake and it was metal and it was laying right there and you said, oh my God, I could see all of the, like, let's say, for argument's sake, wires hanging out of it and this is going on with it. Oh my God, it's a piece of machinery. They don't want you to see that. They don't care that you see a funky rock shape like that because they'll go, we'll just tell them it's swamp gas. Don't worry about it. So you don't see anything mechanical there, but you can't tell me that's natural. So how does NASA get away with, I'm surprised people haven't questioned these people about this. It's really weird. Yep, it is basically universal language, Jay. Mathematics is the key to the universe. Anchor point, you said, Chris, the spacecraft we see are ours. We are, we are there since a long time. You actually have two types, if not, wait a minute, this thing's going up here while I'm trying to read this. If not more of buildings, old stone destroyed, more modern us. Yeah, I mean, it could very well be. I don't know. Joe Kniffer, you said, yeah, the square slabs and stones and the arrangement of that ridge on the left side just screams irrigation channel to me, LOL. It could very well be. Your guess is as good as anybody else's. I mean, it could have been part of a structure. It could be something, like I said, mechanical. You don't know because it's rockified or it's literally dressed up to look like rocks. Or again, is it encrusted with this dirt and stuff like that over the course of years? Good possibility. But again, unless everything's made out of real thick, aluminum or aluminium, depending on how you guys pronounce it, if it's that or stainless steel or any of that kind of that will not rot or rust, and it's super thick, that's the only way this stuff could survive. Other than that, picture that thing just beaten with sand for millions of years ago or just thousands of years ago. There'd be nothing left of that thing to talk about. Yeah, I think he was too, Julie. He said, think Bill Nelson was a terrific choice to head up NASA, and I believe his latest statements, re-ET, are a positive position for things to come, disclosure. Yeah, because you notice how he's letting a little bit more out of the bag every time? You ever notice that? It's like, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. First he said, and then he says he believes there's life other places. Wait a minute. That was unheard of to anybody. It was like totally taboo to even talk like that. Now, oh yeah. So it's coming. I'm hoping it's there before I'm dead and gone, that's for sure. I think I got a few more years left to go, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, I would hope that, like I said, somebody disgruntled or something just, let me slip this guy this photo that's unchanged, manipulated, so on and so forth. That'd be the way to do it. Say, show us the truth. Modus Untold Truth, he said, ancient machines left behind by our guardians. They share because the majority of the people are more focused on bills, loved ones, status, and other things, all planned and orchestrated by the ancient ones. Well, I mean, it's like I've said on many of these photos, I go, listen, again, and I've said this 100 times, if you were to take a photo like this one here, print it out on some nice Kodak paper, show it to your friends and go, what do you think of that? Oh, that's kind of unusual. Oh, that's kind of weird. Oh, it's got a nice shape to it. What do you think that is? I don't know. Do you think that's natural or do you think it's unnatural? I don't know. But they're looking at the texture on this piece. Well, it kind of looks like a rock. Is it a stone carving? Either way, they're saying it's unnatural. It's something that was intelligently made. Now, again, if you were to approach them before you showed them this picture and said, hey, what do you think about the new photos coming out of Mars? Yeah, I don't know anything about them. And that's exactly what most people would say. Like you said, most people are just, I've said this before, most people are perfectly happy, working, coming home, sitting down for this sitcom, throwing down bonbons down their throat, so on and so forth, and then, oh, honey, time for bed. They go to sleep, repeat the next day, and that's pretty much it. Let me see. Oop. Hate it when that happens. Yeah, pretty much. I think everybody will agree with that anchor point. He said, can we at least agree that those ruins have a familiar feeling? Whoever did this was mostly thinking like us. Well, here's the thing, too. Well, I'll just say goodnight to Mike. Thank you, Mike Knapp. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here, brother. He said goodnight. All back to bed. Zzz. For me, have a good weekend. You do the same, and I appreciate you being here, Mike. Be safe. Yeah, and I think everybody can agree that these are not natural, and it just has that intelligently made thing look about it. So even if you can't pinpoint what it is, anybody would look at that and go, is that like stone sculpture or something? Anybody who's never even looked at these photos would say that. Looks like a sculpture or some kind of stone artifact, or, again, unnatural. Yeah, well, unfortunately, Chairman Meow, when you commercialize space, all of these hidden things can no longer be kept so secret. Unless, of course, they just take you to a part of the planet where it has nothing on it. But at some point, this stuff has to slip out. And like I said, I'm hoping for all of us, because there's a lot of us people that are very old, and there's some people that are younger. But at some point, you're going, I wish they'd divulge this pretty soon. I'd love to see it, just to see it, period, You're welcome, Mike. Have yourself a good one, man. Have a safe one. Let me see here. Yeah, I think you're talking about right here, right? Because you said something is curlied under the rocks next to the fake sand. I think you're talking about right here. Has that kind of weird, almost like spring look to it, right? And even this rock, you can see this stuff's been completely digitized out. Look at this mess right here. Just above these rocks. Never mind below these rocks. I mean, this is look at, again, I never had to do a thing to this photo. And here it is, right here in front of your face. Look at the way they literally went straight across again with the airbrushing. One over here, all fake sand. And then you look over here on top of this, nice straight line, blurred right out. Now, people would say, well, I've had this argument. Well, you don't understand, man. It's a low-res photo. Okay, but you can see the imperfections. You can see what they're doing to them. You don't have to be, even if I back out. You could take a magnifier look at that right now. You don't have to be that zoomed in. You can see that. I can see it right now without even looking at the, being zoomed in. I can see that. So it's not that the photo's breaking apart. It's because it's there. JRL Charge, what's going on, man? Good to see you in there. He said, if you take the famous NASA tether incident, which was awesome, that shows all of that traffic only 400 miles away from our planet, shows that our own solar system is loaded with extraterrestrial life. I noticed that. Remember that one was supposed to be like 300 feet long or something like that, or 300 miles. It's something ridiculous. It was very, very large underneath that tether. And it wasn't until that tether broke away and it just kept going away and going away. All of a sudden you see these things going on top of it, going under it. It's almost like they were interested in what it was, right? Really weird. And I think the tether was, what, a mile long? Crazy. So they calculated by going, okay, this big thing underneath the tether, wow, that thing's got to be 300 feet. It was just crazy how much, yeah, so it was like, because if it was a mile long, yeah, it was about 300 feet. It was, yeah, wow. Yeah, Troy Robinson, you said, your question was, do you think NASA is lying about the rover not receiving signals because what they are looking at is just too much to hide and not wanting us to see or need time to cover up the next set of pictures? Well, I think you're right on both aspects. I think they were literally on the other side of the sun. Of course, we're here and sun's here and they're over here. But my argument was always they have like UHF on their transceiver and they have an X-band. X-band can transmit directly to Earth. Now, somehow they always manage to get a ping from that rover, even on the other side. you know, on the other side of the sun, I'm going, okay, wait a minute. So you can't send it that way, but you can send a radio signal that way. Now, I understand they're two different bands, but still, it's the sun. I mean, it's in the way. How are they able to get a signal here? Now, but like in a CGI department, you're doing some total catching up. And there's just a lot of cool stuff. And these photos, and like I said, the videos I got coming up, they're going to be like kind of in sequence in the same sol, but different photos or different points of the photos. Really weird. And you can see things that are either buried or it's been manipulated to be taken out of the photo. Just really, really cool. Phil Cox, he said, I'm heading out of here and got birthday banners and the like to put up for when Jessica wakes up. She's 14 today. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you all the next time. Well, tell her happy birthday from me and everybody else here, Phil. And I hope she has a great birthday. So that's awesome. Yeah, I've done a long time ago, JRL, because you asked when can we get to see more clips of Cydonia. That is such a massive city and cities in that area. I've done one a while back, maybe a couple of them back in the day, where you can see what looks like structures all over there. I'm not even sure, to be truthful, if that face is even real, because after I started burning a little bit, it kind of disappeared. But what didn't disappear and what showed up looked like a bunch of squares and structures and everything else. And I'm not talking about compression artifacts. I'm talking about actual what look like structures, right? Excuse me. I did actually read that, Julie. It was actually a pretty interesting book. I didn't get through the whole thing, and I'm going to get through the rest of it, but really, really good book. And yeah, I've actually done, if you go on there, I've got Ken Johnson sets the record straight. That's when he had, oh God, I'm going to forget his name now. Let's see if I can pick it up. Hold on. James Oberg was and still is a thorn in his rear end. Now, if you look at James Oberg, you can go on to, I think it's, on Facebook, that's one of them. And anybody who brings up anything to do with the moon, he's right there to disinform or just totally mess with you or, no, that's not real, show me your proof kind of thing, all this other crap. And he's nearly gotten, Ken killed when he was in India. And I know Ken. I went down to the Mars conference in Alabama and I met him. In fact, I got his book. Well, I'll end up messing everything up if I pull it out from under there, but I do have it. And it was signed. He says, thanks for having my back from you-know-who. And I even challenged James Oberg to come on with me. In fact, I've done a regular interview with him, with Ken, and what was he? And it's the one that helped him out. I haven't spoke his name in so long. That actually helped him get his photos on one of the sites where he got them all up there and digitally, which is a lot of work. But I met Ken, good person, had him on there. You can just go on there, go into my YouTube channel and just put on there in the search box, Ken Johnston. Because I got one that's Ken Johnson Sets His Record Straight, where he talks about James Oberg, and then I've got one just interviews, and he talks about things he knew and his story and everything else. And of course, I think he even brings up James at that point too. But yeah, he's a disinfo agent big time. Jay McGuffey said, huge sphere on the moon. It looks ominous. I agree. It really does. JRL Charge, he said, what do you think about the chaos region on Mars? I think you're talking about the one I was talking about next to, I think it's Galaxia's Chaos. Is that the one you're talking about? Something like that? It's just east, I'll be all right, east and south of the face of Cydonia. And that's where the smaller explosion was. David Voigt, he said, true. His nemesis is that idiot. Terrible former colleague. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about it is, I don't know if you've seen that photo where he was with, it was James Oldberg and I forget the other guy. He's got the patch on his eye or some crap. But he's literally taking a UFO magazine and sticking it in the trash. Now, I don't know if he was doing it as a joke. And this goes way back when he was actually into it. He actually believed in UFOs at one point and probably knows all about them. But now he's just, oh, no, no, no. Oh, bull, this, that, and the other. He's tried to tell me one time about this one photo I did of the moon. This goes way back a couple years back, at least a few years back, actually. And he said, this is the real photo. I said, give me the link to the real photo. I get it. It's completely washed out like the photo I just did. And in fact, I think it was of the photo or the video I just did. But it was even worse than that one. So I said, oh, no, 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 no. So even Phil, I'm thinking Phil now, I've just seen Phil. Even Ken had done some work on one of these photos, and they found these structures on that same photo, but yet Ken had the, what's the term I want to use? They were still doctored, but not nearly like the third and fourth generation, where he had like the first generation of them. And they weren't nearly as bad. I said, then why is yours, the one you're showing me, so much different than Ken's? Why is there so much more detail and more contrast? Oh, I don't know. It must be something that he's done to the photo. No, 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 no. You know, don't bullshit me. You know, so, you know, he's been a thorn in his rear end for the longest time. I mean, that's pretty much it. And General Meow says, I am taking my cat naps. Good night, disco lovers, Chris and the chairman Meow. All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Good night, Whiskers. Good one. JRL Chachi said, I can't wait to see the HD photos of Ganymede and Titan. Your video on Titan was awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're talking about Ganymede. I think you're talking more about Ganymede. Ganymede was the bomb. That has so much stuff on there. And they rendered it like a 2D, and it's clearly not a 2D at all. It looks like dome cities all over that. And you can just, like I said, go into my channel, look at Ganymede. Wow. You know, at first I looked at this thing and I'm saying, why does it look like something's going down like this? That's what clued me in. I said, oh my God, this has got depth to it. It's not just a flat surface. It probably was, Julie. You said, let's see, some hate mail from James. Our Antarctica paper, and he claimed we faked the cable shovel. I wonder if it's the same clown. It could very well be. James Oberg. And it was funny. It was Tony P., I think it was, that was on here earlier. And he says, and he's the one that reminded me of him today when I see one of his comments. And it's like, I would still welcome to do, you know, interview with him. I'll get Ken on, and then we can get him on. But he claimed, oh, we're going to ambush him. No, we're not. I would have been totally fair about it. I said, this is the way we do it. You ask your question of Ken, he'll answer your question. I won't butt in. Then you ask him a question, then we'll alternate. He'll ask you a question. You have to answer the right way. Don't BS anybody and do it right. I said, the second you get stupid and try to attack him, I'm cutting you off. And because it's not about that. It's about getting the record straight. And that's what I plan to do. And he came up with every excuse in the book not to do it. So I'm not surprised. Bush Corey, what's going on? Good to see you there, man. He said, hey guys, sorry late. Been one of those days. Hi Chris, any thoughts on the solar flares? If already spoke about, no problem. Yeah, I did. I actually, it was right here, and I'm not sure that one is right there. Sun fires off major solar flare from, it was the X1 class solar flare, which is pretty powerful. But yeah, I actually talked about that earlier, and they said by the 30th or 31st, meaning tomorrow or Sunday, we might get affected. Depends on where where it's turned when it hits. If there's going to be anything, you might have a little bit of satellite blackout for a short time or whatever, but it's not going to be like, oh my God, it's the end of the world kind of thing, which most people love to do, that fear-mongering crap, and I'm not a big fan of that at all, unless, of course, I find it legit that it should be mentioned to you folks that there's something going on and you should be aware of it, you know. There he is. There's Taff. What's going on, Taff Baker? Good to see you in there, man. What's going on? David Vaught, you said, Ganny, one of my fave images you've done. Yeah, that one totally blew me away because I didn't expect that until I started seeing things that looked like were coming out and then dropping down. I'm going, is it going to the right? Or is it something that's actually going down into a lower surface? Now, that thing was actually got depth to it. But here's the thing. It's perfect because we can blow smoke up your rear end. Because if you guys can't look at it yourself, meaning with your own satellite, how would you know? You just have to take their word for it. And that's what it comes down to. I don't like anything I can't look at myself. So in other words, when I do these videos, this is the reason why I give you links to these photos so you can analyze it yourself. Anybody who does any other work that includes or basically shows that you can't look it up yourself, I don't believe their work. And I'm not saying it's not real. It's hard to vet it or take it serious because you can't do it yourself. And I'm not a big fan of that. I want to know if the stuff is true, and if it is there, I want to investigate it myself so I know for sure. Like some of these fake Mars channels that are coming out. Same BS. It's like, oh, look at this thing. And it's like a pristine bottle on the surface with mountains never seen in any of these photos ever. And people say, well, what about this channel? This is like Daniel something channel. It's like, ask them for the official link. Chances are you will not get it because it's not real. None of that crap he's showing is real at all. It's completely fake. David Vaught, you said those closed-minded guys don't want to deliberate fairly, sir. Well, no, I know. But yet they don't mind taking stabs at other people who are like trying to whistleblow or trying to show this. He'll try to, oh yeah, well, show me proof. And, well, you show me proof that you know better. Meaning you know otherwise. I'm just telling you you're wrong. Oh, well, okay. They'll try to show you fake pictures of them, of their photos that are given out by NASA, or like really manipulated and censored. No. I'd rather have the ones that are almost the complete originals if I can. Great for all. No internet, it's the end of the world. Oh yeah, that would be bad, wouldn't it? Yep, Julia, I'm going to be doing the same. Man, I can't believe it's been almost 4 hours. Holy crackamole. Crapaholi? Call it what you will. He said, very late here. Love to be part of the best show on YouTube. Good night, everyone. Big love to you all. Jules. All right, Julia, thanks for being here. Much love to you. Be safe. And, yeah, talk to me anytime. You know that. And, yeah, glad to see you here as always. So, yeah, feel free. You know that. This is your family here. I know you got regular family, but you got a bigger family here. So, and I'm sure everybody will agree with that. So, yeah, stay in touch and, you know, hope everything goes well for you there, right? And we're going to jump off this bad whammer jammer as well, guys. It is time to blow this clam bake. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay, you're here in this bright star. No. Yeah, folks. Man, it's been almost 4 hours. That's insane. See what I mean? This is the conversations we have on this channel. This is awesome. I love this. I love to be able to just get on there, just have a good time, have good conversation. It could be just about anything. Try not to get political or religious if we can. I think it's a waste of time because you know how it's going to be. It gets very heated at times, and I don't like to see people at each other's throats. I'd rather see a good, healthy conversation without, you know, being ridiculed and, you know, jerked around with and everything else. I just don't believe that. But I'm glad everybody was here. Thank you again, James. You're awesome. Everybody here who's been here, just any kind of support for the channel is just awesome. You guys are the bomb. You know, much love from my heart, and I mean that. And again, I've said this many times, if it wasn't for you folks, this channel wouldn't be here. So I want to thank you all for being here and spending the time with me, and I'm doing the same with you. And it's good that we can all get together and just have a great time. So, you know, cheers to everybody and big ups, you know what I mean? I said, Chris, everyone tonight, great hangout. Again, 4 hours. Yeah, I know. I told the wife, yeah, it probably won't be long tonight. Yeah, buddy. But I can't help it. It's just like you're just in there having a conversation. I look at the time. I said, you got to be kidding. I wonder why people are falling off. They're probably at the computer. They're just falling off the computer and stuff. But if you guys haven't hit the thumbs up, please do so. It helps get this channel out, the video out, and all that other good stuff. So hit the thumbs out on the way out. Greatly appreciated. You guys know that. It's all about you guys. Again, you are the channel. So you guys say which way it goes, right? So That's why we depend on you so much. IR Film, great show, Chris. Have a good night, everyone. All right, IR Film. I guess I don't know if it's just IR meaning infrared kind of thing or whatever, but yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you were here, and great to spend time with all you fine folks. It's just awesome. And if you go out trick-or-treating tomorrow, be safe. And of course, a lot of you parents know, if you're parents of young ones, check that stuff. There's a bunch of crazy out there, man. Injecting stuff. Remember back in the day, and I'll just say this real briefly, I remember back in the day, back in the 80s, people would be going to the hospital with razor blades stuck in their gums because somebody stuck it in an apple. You must be insane. So be careful, watch your kids, just make sure they're all safe. Even when I was handing out candy yesterday at this trunk or treat event that they had, you know, I even had a separate basket. I said, are you sure? Because I'd say, okay, you can pick all of these. Make sure this one here, you're not allergic to peanuts and stuff like that. So, you know, you got to look out for the kids, you know. And my kids were young once. They don't trick or treat anymore. Will they dress up every now and then just to go to work and have a good time? Sure, but just be safe. That's all. And watch out for the kids. I know you guys are probably great parents, so you don't need me to tell you that, but just be safe. That's all. Arts and Crafts, he said, thank you, Chris. No, thank you, Arts and Crafts. Thank everybody for being here. You guys are awesome. You guys are the bomb. Thank you. Thank you all for your support. Again, couldn't ask for anything more than that. Again, watch the, you know, coming up, I'm going to try to get one of them together for Sunday, but I'm not going to, I may not even actually put it on Sunday, but Monday we're going to be rocking these videos big time. And, you know, I got like certain segments I'm going to do of this one day, this Sol, and I'm just going to just bust these things out. So make sure you watch every bit of it, because what's in these photos is cool. I just took a close up and look at them going, what is that? Again, covered up, kind of like we just seen in that rock photo. Got the fake sand and the stuff covering it. This is the reason why I burned to try to find extra lines in there. Even if you do it lightly, these things will pop, guys. And there's a lot more I have a feeling is going to be in this photo. So again, photos, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, much love to you all. Thank you all for being here. Great show as always. You guys, again, are the bomb. I love you all. It's just been a great night as always. Friday nights, these are awesome. So everybody, just be safe. And I'll see you guys on the videos, and then we'll see you guys on next Friday there, right? What time is it? Yeah, we'll leave it on for another 8 minutes. So you guys be careful. We'll see you soon. Peace.